Oh my goodness, I'm here. Happy Monday. Happy Halloween. Thanks for joining me. This is Beyond Film School. I'm Amber, where I teach you all about the film industry. And today we're going to be talking about common questions that I get because I work in the film industry. Now, this is I think this is a really good topic because if you are new to the film industry, then you might get these questions when you start out because I think, let's be honest, like when people work in film, they're not surrounded by everybody else who works in film, right? Also, I just want to make sure whoever's joining me, make sure I'm coming in clear. I always want to make sure that my audio is working because you know the struggle is real. Those of you who have definitely joined me on another stream, I want to make sure that I am okay. You guys can hear me, which I think we're okay. I think we're good. If you are joining me, let me know in the chat where you are from, where you're joining me from, and also I have a question, an international question. So definitely let me know where you're from. If you're from a different, that doesn't matter where you're from, like New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, London, India, I don't know. Because I know I have a lot of different subscribers who join me on a live stream and are coming from all different types of places. And I have a very, very interesting question to solve a terminology debate that I am currently having with people in Albuquerque and LA. So I have an important question I want to ask later on in the stream, but we are definitely covering those common questions. And I think this is kind of like maybe commiseration, or maybe like also you can share the questions that you get. I don't want to say they're dumb questions or they're just I get these all the time. I will get these all the time. Sometimes they come to me from my family, my friends who don't work in the industry. Sometimes they come to me from new folks on set. So it just depends. So let's get into the first question I always get. Have you worked on anything I would know? And this is kind of like the have you worked on anything that I would know question is sort of frustrating because when you're starting your film career, you are going to be working in some indie projects, you're going to be working on commercials, music videos, PSAs, sometimes corporate videos. There's so many different types of projects that you could be working on, you know, and some people are like, yeah, but do you have I seen anything that you worked on? And I think it comes to a point in your career where that, yes, you can be like, yeah, I worked on, you know, the last Marvel movie, you know, because everyone has seen this movie. But there's going to be points where you're like, oh God, I don't even know. I worked on said indie movie. It was released and it never saw the light of day and no one ever saw it type project. So I used to hate this question when I first started because I was like, I don't know what you've seen. I have no idea what you're watching. I have no clue what you are going to be watching, because if I worked on a bunch of drama and you're only watching action, who knows? And these are like complete strangers who usually ask me this. Like they're usually complete strangers who are like, have you worked on anything that I would know? And I'm always like, I don't know. Let me pull up my IMDb page. Do you have any? Have you seen any of these things? I guess. I don't know. Another question I get, have you worked with anyone famous? And this I get so much from complete strangers. Like maybe I am encountering pedestrians on the street when they're coming up to our set. They're just like walking by. We're setting up cameras, setting up lights, and they're just like, oh, you know, is anyone famous here? Who's the star? I guess is another related question I get all the time, right? So, oh my God, I have someone joining me from Norway. Happy Halloween from Norway. Thank you so much, Jonathan the PA. Thank you so much. Happy to have you on the stream, joining me, watching me live. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so when I get this question, have I worked with someone famous? I don't exactly know what to say for this because I don't know, like I always might think they're like certain, like there's obviously the A-listers that everyone knows, right? There's like a handful of people who are like, oh my God, yes, Rihanna, or like, you know, I have said I've worked with Queen Latifah and people are like, oh, like what? It's Queen Latifah? Like, come on now. Like she's a legend in her own right, and like people are like, oh yeah, whatever. So sometimes when I say I have worked with said famous person, the person isn't impressed, and I don't know why. That kind of makes me upset in a little bit, like in a little way where I'm like, oh, sorry, my answer wasn't good enough. What did you want me to say? I worked with like George Clooney or something, which I don't think I have worked with George Clooney at all. But either way, like I'm thinking, you're asking me this question and in hopes that I'm going to say something, I don't know, but I think no matter what I say or what I answer, they're not going to be impressed with what I say. Like, there's always going to be like, yeah, whatever. Especially when people come up to me in New York, they just want to be nosy because they're so used to having like famous people like all around, or they encounter famous people all the time. It kind of always makes me happy when they're like, oh my God, you work with this person. But then the problem is they think that person is on set. So I'm like, no one's here. That person, that was like years ago when I worked with this person, you know? So the famous person question kind of can go either way. And I always get someone asking me about these, I don't know, their hopes are like, oh, have you worked with this person I'm obsessed with? And then can you set up a meet and greet with them? I want to go and meet them. It's like, first of all, since we work in film, the people who are famous and have people following them around all the time and paparazzi following them around all the time, and they can't like really go to the grocery store, they can't go out in public anywhere without being harassed by fans or something, they're hoping that the crew members they work with are not going to fangirl out, and they're not going to open that door to access to them, right? They're like, you're there working and you kind of are the gatekeepers for a reason, because things can totally get out of hand. So also relating to that whole question of like, is that famous person on set, or who is the star of the show? I'll always be like, oh, we're shooting like, oh, Law and Order and Chris Maloney. Yeah, he's not here today. Even if he is here today, I am not saying he's here because people are obsessed with that man. So I will not say that he is on set. And if you are starting in the industry, that is a really good tip for you, because you don't want to tell a random stranger, because once you say a famous person is going to be on set, that person, you don't know what you're going to ignite in them. They might be like, oh my God, I'm going to stay here all day. And that definitely does happen, where they will wait around until they see their, like, you know, the person that they're obsessed with. They'll wait around. So don't invite that. So that is definitely like, maybe like you're starting in the industry, PA tip, definitely don't say who the stars are. And if you can say who the stars are, because it's like, you know, if that person liked Law and Order, or, you know, or I don't know, what's that, Ghosts or something, or whatever that like everyone likes right now, like, or say like back in the day, if you're working on The Office and you're like, oh my God, Rainn Wilson is on set, people will wait. So just refrain from saying, oh, they're here today. I always say they're not working today, even if like they're coming down the block. I don't care. So do I lie to pedestrians and people walking by? Absolutely. Most definitely. Totally lie to everyone who's coming around, because you never know what types of people, like, you might just have someone who just wants to take a picture and say hi and like fangirl for like ha, and then like they'll go on their way. So just keep that in mind, that you're not always going to have that type of person. You might have someone who's just going to be like dangerous. People are unpredictable. I don't want to say they're crazy, but they sometimes, you don't know. You just don't know. Another question I get, who did you work with it was shocking that they were an asshole? Okay, so I get this question a lot. People always want to know who the baddies are. People always want to know who the difficult ones are. And it was funny. I recently went to Albuquerque a couple weeks ago, and I took about 3 Ubers, like one to the airport, and then like one back to the airport or whatever. So all 3 Ubers and all 3 Lyft drivers, I don't know, maybe, okay, this has nothing to do with film, but if you guys take, you know, rideshare apps, I don't know, around the world there's different ones that like are called taxis or whatever. Like, you're taking a rideshare app, I don't know what it is, but I always get drivers who want to tell me their life story. And on those days I was traveling to and from Albuquerque, I was getting some crazy Lyft drivers, not crazy, but like they were just telling me like everything about themselves. And I'm like, this is only like a 15-20 minute like Lyft. And I can't understand, like, what is it about me that's inviting these like full on conversations that people want to tell me intimate details of their life. One of them, it's kind of weird. One of them, I had to get to the airport at like 3:30 in the morning, and my flight was at 5. And this guy had so much energy. I was just blown away. First of all, it's 3 in the morning, and you're talking to me like, whew. I was amazed, first of all. But either way, I was just really surprised. Like, he was like kind kind of got weird. And he was like, I live in your neighborhood. And if you want, you can request me for like your lift back. And I was like, oh, Lord Jesus. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to stop talking to this guy. No more details. But either way, the one Lyft driver I got coming back from the airport to home, he started talking about like, oh, what do you do? I was like, yeah, I work in TV and film, whatever. Because I mean, I guess I could lie, but then I'm not a really good liar when it comes to like trying to extend the story. Like, I don't know. I could have been like, oh, I'm a bartender. And then maybe the conversation would end there. But this guy was pretty, was that loquacious, right? Am I using the right word? Like gregarious and loquacious, really talkative, really kind of like outgoing and very extroverted, wanted to have a conversation while he kept taking the wrong turns. This 15-minute ride got into like maybe like 45 minutes for me to get home because he kept getting off the wrong exit in Jersey. And when you get off on the wrong exit in Jersey, you're going to be lost and you're going to have to go way out of the way for a very, very long time. And he started asking me about like, you know, who is one actor that like you couldn't wait to meet, but then it turned out that he was or she was like horrible. And I'm like, I never say, because usually the most recent project in my mind is like very fresh, and I can always, in my mind, I'm like 3 or 4 actors will come to my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy was a dick, even though like I found them very amusing, because sometimes when difficult actors start to throw their tantrums, like I find it hilarious, because also I can totally relate, and I empathize with actors because like they're being told what to do all day long, where they gotta go, what they gotta wear, how they're going to be in this scene, and then I feel like they have a certain like they have a certain thing about them where they want to throw their weight around because they're being controlled so much. So if you're an actor out there, like, I totally get it. Would I want to be an actor? Definitely not. 100% would not want to be an actor. Like, it's hard enough for me to get in these YouTube videos, okay? Let's be real. So, but also they have to have, like, they have to be really in tune with their emotions, and they have to be unguarded, totally vulnerable to even, like, reach in, if they're a good actor, and reach into those emotions and, like, put the performance on when you say action, right? So there's a lot going on in an actor's head. And when that person is being a diva, there's a reason for it, because they're protecting themselves. So when they start to throw their fits, or they start to really get into, like, wow, they're being an asshole, then there's usually a reason for it, because they have been abused in the past. And it's like reminding them they have to really set those boundaries, or, you know, because maybe they didn't say something and like the wardrobe designer made them look like an idiot or something like that. Like it's a whole lot of stuff. Or maybe a makeup artist didn't do something right and they look like a hot mess, and they had like, you know, like the lines on your face when you're like not blending right, or they look orange on camera. Many, many things go wrong if you don't speak up in life, and especially if you're an actor on a set. So I mean, I empathize, but also I'm an assistant director, so I get it. I'm like, yo, we gotta go. Can you just like get on camera and can we just like, can you get it? Can you get your performance in 2 takes, please? So I get both sides. So when people are like, who was an asshole to you? I don't really tap into the most recent projects. It's too fresh and I'm too close to it. What I tend to do is I talk about something I heard through the grapevine, and I've never worked with that person, just to kind of satisfy the conversation. I was like, you know, oh, so-and-so, I heard, like, I met this person the other day, and she didn't want to be this person's personal stylist because they heard horror stories all the time, you know, and because it's like, I only heard that through the grapevine. That wasn't my personal experience, because also know this, when you talk ish about an actor, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who they know. You don't know how it gets back to them, especially if you're talking to someone else in the industry. It is like, it's bad news bears, because that will get back to that actor. And actors have a lot of pull. So just saying, watch what you say to who you say it to, because I am not trying to talk ish about anybody I've worked with. Like, even if you're being honest, like, oh, this person was like, we had to wait around for this actor a lot. Like, no one wants that type of rep, right? So just saying, they have a way of getting back to whoever said whatever about them. I tend not to say, like, they get back to the people that have what's that phrase? Like the whole women scorn thing. Like, don't mess with an actor. They will find a way to get back at you. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat really quick before I move on to the next one. Okay, so Jonathan, that's so different from productions here. People will just nod and be like, okay, cool, good luck. I do get that, Jonathan. I definitely do get that, because they're just like, oh yeah, they just want to know what's going on, because they're just curious, which I totally get. So that does happen here. But some people, like, it depends on who we have and what's happening. Even if there are, like, well-known Norwegian, sorry, I'm like, I don't know why I got tongue twisted on that, Norwegian actors on set that day. I got Love Liar DJ 93. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. God bless. I don't know. Sometimes I have no clue how big the big actors. Sometimes I have no clue how big the actor is until I see a mob. Exactly. Like sometimes I don't have any idea about like what following they had. Like for example, so I recently, if you guys were on my last stream, I have no idea. I was on last Thursday, or like not last Thursday, the Thursday, the 20th, I think. Yes. So I came on the 20th. I did a live stream I did the live resume review. Also, if you want me to do another live resume review, definitely let me know in the chat for sure. Cause I definitely want to do another one in a couple weeks. And I'll totally have the submission open for the resumes for when I do that. But my sister had her 40th birthday and she's obsessed with Jensen Ackles. I'm like, who is this guy? I don't even know who he is. I have literally no idea who this person is. And I'm like, Jensen Ackles. And my sister like loves this guy. And there was like a cardboard cutout of Jensen Ackles like for her birthday. It was like, it was really, really fun. And it was super cute. And I was like, who the hell is Jensen Ackles, right? So they told me, oh, he's in Supernatural. Like now he's on, I believe he's on Big Sky. I don't know, last season, I have literally no idea about this guy. But like as soon as they told me, and I would have never, I guess he was at Comic-Con just this past weekend or something. So that is totally true. So I don't have any clue sometimes of like how big the actor is until you see a bunch of people and a bunch of paparazzi trying to get their picture and like people like just like obsessing, just trying to get like the most likely a really, really crappy picture of this actor like walking from like their cast chair to like the car they have to drive or whatever. So yeah, I have sometimes I'm just like, I have no clue who these people are. Also, sometimes I just don't care. I'm like, oh, they did that. That's cool. And then like, I'm like, hey, can you come to set, please? Like, I need you on set. So it just depends. And some people have like, I don't want to say a cult following where you're like, you had no idea. And then they just have like the underground, like horror movie, like, those types of fans where you're just like, wow, this is real deep. This goes real, like, who knows? So, Jonathan PA, and yeah, definitely like, they just like, walk away for sure. And then other people like will do everything they can to like ruin the shots and stuff. So it can go definitely either way. Victoria Melnick, why not to write these driver stories down and turn them into scripts? Yeah, I probably should. Victoria, that's probably a good idea because this man, oh my God, he had hopes and dreams. So this was early in October, the one Uber driver who asked me about Jennifer Lopez. And I was like, oh, well, it's not really worked with her. But then he had another story. For some reason, he was like, I know this woman who works with J-Lo and please fill in the gaps and he like wanted me to validate whether or not J-Lo is like difficult to work with or nice to work with. I will not say either way on a live stream right now because, I want to work. I want to continue working in this industry. And that is the main reason why we, like, people who are working in film, like, as soon as you talk shit, it's like that stuff gets around when you're talking shit about actors. And if people know you have that rep to, like, first of all, you're taking photos of actors, big no. Like, set PAs always do this. They're like, I just want to, no. You can't take pictures. Oh my goodness. I will totally tell the story. Oh, this happened on a production that I just finished last month. One of the set PAs, bless her heart, very, very sweet girl, super sweet girl. And she wasn't like lost in the sauce. I gave her things. She did them. She completed the task. She did a great job. But as soon as like Jennifer Aniston, no, it was Reese Witherspoon was on set, and she like it was like something clicked in her head, and she like almost like she lost it or something. Something clicked, and then she was like, "Oh, I have to get a picture of Reese." Well, Reese has extensive security, and that man is not messing around. He took her aside. Took her phone, was like, you need to delete this photo right now. He waited there until she deleted the photo, and she had to scroll through to make sure that it was deleted everywhere and like prove to him that the photo was not on her phone anymore. Like, that's how serious this stuff can get. And I mean, maybe you're like, that's kind of crazy, but either way, there are no pictures allowed. when you're a set PA, you can't take any videos, and you can't reveal the story, obviously, when you're on set, right? But actors, man, they are not trying to mess around. Even though there's tons of paparazzi and we have to work with the paparazzi, if you guys have questions about paparazzi, please ask away, because I don't know in other countries and other regions where they do films, and I mean, basically anywhere, really, like, if paparazzi is a problem. In New York, it's a huge problem. I was talking to the LA crew that came to New York for the New York unit, and I was like, do you guys have this problem in Los Angeles? They're like, no, not at all. They don't have the problem because everyone's so used to having the celebrities around, and there's so much space, and it's like they're always around, and I guess they're more available to take pictures everywhere, so they're not going to really stalk them when they're trying to work on set. So that's a whole other thing. But man, it really... like, I felt so bad for the PA, but then, like, we had to take her away and, like, take her off set, and we had to take that PA and put her somewhere else so she wasn't near any of the cast. So we didn't fire her, and, you know, because she didn't really know, like, she was so new that it was like, okay, you're not going to fire this girl for taking a picture, because, like, I mean, we're all human beings, right? Thank God my first AD was very, very forgiving, and she got a laugh out of it, because it was very, very funny. I thought it was hilarious. But either way, like, we had to take her off. But then the next day, the security guy saw her, and he was like, why is she on set? Like, why is she here? You know, so it kind of got a little awkward, because we're like, we're not going to fire her, but he, like, expected us to fire her, which was kind of like, sir, let's not get crazy. Like, this is an innocent mistake. Let's just be calm about this. So yeah, the scripts, I had 3 very different stories. So, like, the first Uber driver I had, oh gosh, I can't even remember, but homeboy was hyper. I can't remember what he told me because it was very, very early morning. I don't remember. But the second guy I got when I got to Albuquerque, he was like 70 something. He told me about college and how he got really messed up in college and how he went here and how your 20s and 30s are for, like, exploring life. I think maybe he thought I was, like, very, very young. I have no idea, but homeboy was sharing life advice, and he was sharing others, he had, we're going really off topic here, but I feel like I have to share these stories. It's really weird. Maybe Victoria will appreciate this. I have no idea, but he was telling me how he got, a lady in his, Lyft, and she was Latinas for Trump, right? And he was telling me how, like, he got real political. He touched on religion, politics, the vaccine. I was like, wow, we're hitting all the buttons here in a 12-minute drive on all the things you should not be talking about in a public setting or with strangers you don't know. He was hitting up everything. But either way, this woman was talking about how they would wear Hillary shirts in, like, 2016, and they would vote for Trump because they felt, like, pressured to vote Democratic or whatever. I'm not going to get into politics here, but either way, like, that was an interesting story. I was, like, blown away. And he was talking about how 3 of his kids were all nurses, and they all refused to get the vaccine, and they were upset with him because he didn't get it or something like that. And I was like, oh, Lord Jesus, this guy is giving me a drive. Because I had my mask on. I had my mask on when I got into the Uber. And in Albuquerque, they're not as strict. But I was in the car with them. So I was like, and when I'm flying, I get, like, real, anxious. Because first of all, when you're on an airplane, like, I just feel like I get sick faster for some reason. So I always wear it on the plane no matter what. And when I got off, I'm still, like, in that mode of, like, paranoia, I guess. So I just keep it on in the car. And he was like, do you want me to put a mask on? And he was very, very nice. And I was like, wow, this is great. Man, goodness. Such great stories. I should write these into, like, short stories or something like that, like short films. We have Chad Rogers with us. Thank you so much. Thank you for saying I'm awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Jonathan the PA, have you created a bond friendship with actors you have worked with on multiple projects? Is that possible over there? Yes. So I think a really good example, Jonathan, of this is when I worked on The Equalizer for season 1. I was first team running, which means I was always with cast, and I did the whole season. And They're on season 3 now, and on season 2 I came back as a key PA, like I leveled up a little bit, and then this season I keep coming back as an assistant director. So like they're seeing me grow, but also every time I come back, they're so happy to see me. And like Queen Latifah, she always like, oh my God, Amber's here, we're gonna have a quick day. Like it's amazing that like they acknowledge my existence and they're happy to see me. Like I had never imagined that type of relationship. Like Lisa LaPierre, like she plays Mel on The Equalizer. She's so sweet, and she's always so happy to see me, and she gives me a nice big hug, and it's just like I find that to be amazing, because I'm like, I'm just a little like PA back in the day, and now I'm an AD, and they just like, I just feel appreciated when they do that. It's like utterly amazing when I have that and I experience that on set. And I'm sure there's probably some actors who are not happy to see me. Like, you're not gonna get along with everybody, that's for sure. You know, there are definitely actors on that show that I didn't bond with as much. Leia, her and her parents are amazing. They're always like, oh my God, it's Amber's back. Like, it's very, very sweet. So it definitely does happen when you do form a bond. And even when like going back to another show and they're like, wait a minute, I think I've seen you on such show. You do definitely get that familiarity that happens, and it's very, very sweet. And it's like, it makes me just feel all like warm and fuzzy. Like, oh my God, they remembered me. And the fact that someone remembers you just always, for me, makes me feel special. Like they're, you know, I don't know, just acknowledgement. I appreciate that stuff. So it definitely does happen over here. Okay. Love Liar DJ. Oh my God, I really wish I'm saying this right. I don't know. My aunt does hair, and she told me about how another hairdresser got fired for taking a sneak peek. Yes. So of Bruce Willis. Like, okay. So apparently I cannot read today. I apologize. I cannot read today. I've had a bunch of coffee this morning, but I haven't eaten anything. So my brain is like going faster than my lips can move. So it's kind of bad. So I'm just going to slow down. I'm going to like take a deep breath. Okay. My aunt does hair, and she told me about how another hairdresser got fired for taking a sneak peek. Sneak peek is such a hard word combination to achieve for me, of Bruce Willis. So yes, Bruce Willis is very, very strict. I have worked with him and his folks before, and we couldn't even like look in, like they were like, don't even look in his direction. And I was like, oh God. I was an additional PA on a movie way back in the day. And I just remember being like, oh God, he's coming. I have to like hide, because people got fired for like, you know, staring homie down or something like that. So I don't know. So it really, really depends on what is happening, because I think sometimes, I don't know, there might be distractions. They might be in a certain headspace. You don't, like, they're going into a certain scene. I don't know. Like, either way, I'm not trying to mess with the feng shui of what they got going on. So that's definitely possible. It's totally possible. Jonathan P.A., love your positivity. Wish I could have the chance to work with you. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I try to really do that on set. I think that I feel like I'm a pretty good motivator, and I try to stay positive on set. And when I'm ADing on set, I really am like, yo, we're going to do this. It's hard. We got through it. This is a problem, but we're going to fix it, whatever. I feel like I try to, emote positivity as much as I can when I'm on set. So yes, Jonathan, if you're ever in New York, just let me know. Even though I try not to hire a perfect stranger. I got to meet you first before I put you on set. Not that you were trying to get a job or anything, but either way. Okay, so, Erica, thank you so much for, I keep messing up, like, the handles. I really am messing up the handles here, but thank you for giving me your name, Erica. I appreciate that. Oh, wait, it's Erica. Okay, so for my next one is kind of related to the negativity of, they want to know who is an asshole. They want to know who's a diva. And I'm like, man, like why do you want to know all the bad stuff? Like, why can't you ask about, like, what's one of your favorite memories with an actor? Like Jonathan was like, yo, who did you form bonds with? You know what I mean? Like, that's a good question. That's an amazing question. And people always want to know the bad stuff. And I'm like, why do you want to know the bad stuff? And the reason why they want to know about the bad stuff is because our brains are like hardwired to focus on negativity. And for some reason, we can remember negative things more than we can remember positive things. So like the positivity, working on the positivity again. I wish I could have my little like positivity little like 2-second video that I put in my videos sometimes. I don't know if y'all ever see that. I put it every time I say the word positivity, I put this like little ding. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that. If you've noticed that, please let me know. Please let me know in the chat if you've ever noticed my little positivity video in my videos. So I think when they want to know about divas, it's always like they just want to know the gossip. And people who are very much into gossip, I don't want to insult anybody, but there's like layers of intelligence, right? So like simple folks love the gossip. They love knowing like who did what, who said what to what, right? And then like other people, like there's like a more intelligence, like you're talking about like ideas or something like that. Or I can't remember, like there's like 3 levels of like you're talking about certain things, and that tells you the level of intelligence and where that person's brain is at. Not to insult anybody, but geez Louise. I hope if you're a gossiper or you're a complainer, whew, sorry, we don't, I know that the AD department is the complaint department. Like we definitely are the complaint department. I'm here to solve your problem. So please complain to me if there are issues, but don't complain to me about things that don't matter. Like complain to me about that, that lift that's swaying in the wind and we should probably take it down because it's unsafe because the wind is blowing too hard, right? That's legit. Complain to me if you have not eaten lunch because you have dietary restrictions and you have not had food yet for the day and it's lunchtime and you're like, I have no food to eat. That is legitimate. But if you're going to complain to me because there's no Snickers at Crafty, sorry, that is not what we're doing here, sir. Sorry, these are all legitimate things I've heard. Like from crew members, like complaining about Crafty, and I'm like, I'm sorry. We're not going to complain about Crafty. And I actually did mention that in the last interview I did with Frank about the electrical department, where people will complain about the weirdest things. Sometimes they're totally legitimate. Sometimes it's about safety. Sometimes it's, about the truck about to be robbed or something like that. But just saying, like, there are, people who complain a lot. I tend not to mesh well with the complainers of the world because I'm like, I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to progress in my day. I'm trying to know the problems, solve those problems, move on, find out what the next problem is, solve that problem. You know what I mean? And some people just want to they want to, I don't know. It's like they love to just immerse themselves in the misery. And I feel like complaining sometimes gets misconstrued as venting, right? And they're like, let me just vent for a second. Well, okay, you can totally vent, but once you get it out, I don't want to hear anything else about it. You know what I mean? And sometimes your mind wants to obsess about something that happened to you, or, I get it. Sometimes you're definitely treated unfairly, but baby girl, life's unfair. Sorry. Not to be like, shut up and just go on with your day. Not to be like that, because definitely some shit's unfair. You gotta figure that out. You gotta solve the problems. You gotta keep moving forward. But to just complain and obsess about something that went wrong, if you're not going to take action, I don't want to hear about it anymore. And maybe I'm taking a really strong stance on this, but you guys know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So if you're gonna complain, make sure you take action. Make sure you totally can take action before, because I'm all about okay, you're complaining. How can we solve this? How can we make this better? Let's figure this out. That's where I fall when it comes to filmmaking. So my next question that I get all the time, who was the nicest actor that I've worked with? I've worked with so many nice actors. I mean, and this is what I just said, people want to know the negative stuff. I do get this a lot, who's the nicest one? There are some people who just want that positivity, right? They want to know, who's a nice one? They're give me a shred of hope. You know what I mean? They just want to know, who was a nice one? I hear Keanu Reeves is, a saint. I hear that Awkwafina is a saint. They're amazing actors to work with. They are beyond just gracious. I worked with Bryan Cranston and he was amazing. He was super nice, very professional, told me exactly what he wanted. Some people would be if an actor asks for something, for some reason, anytime an actor even requests something or asks for something, they think that's an asshole or a bitch move. And I'm like, they're just trying to get what they need, right? They're just trying to make sure they get what they need or want to make them have a better day or whatever. So because someone asks for what they want or because they set boundaries doesn't, in my head, does not equate to boundaries, because like I'm trying to like put myself in their shoes. That's all I'm saying. So a nice actor, I've never worked with Keanu Reeves. I've never worked with Awkwafina. I've never like worked with a bunch of people who are like, oh my God, they're so amazing to work with. I can't work with Keanu Reeves. I will tell you that. If I worked on John Wick, I think I might pass out. I'd be like, oh my God, like that is like my ultimate. Like, I would love to work with Keanu Reeves, therefore I cannot, right? Because I love watching his movies. I don't want to meet my heroes. Do you know what I mean? And like Constantine, please, if you, Tom Hanks, yes, Tom Hanks too. Oh God, Gisela, please, I'm butchering names. I am so sorry. Telling me like about Tom Hanks, like he is super, super nice, right? One of the nicest actors. Tom Hanks, Keanu Reeves. Sandra Bullock too, I've heard is so nice. Like she's beyond like, and the fact that she's so funny, I would be like, yes, I would love to work with her just to like her to make me laugh. I want to laugh on set. I want to laugh as much as I can on set, 100%. Let's see. I have enough work here in Norway as a key PA, but still young, so who knows? Exactly. If you're in New York, man, we might be working as ADs together. We don't know. I have no idea. So kudos, Jonathan, for being key PA. That's amazing that you have all the work right now. That's so good. So Dallas Dan Digital Productions, welcome back. I haven't seen you on here in a while, but thank you so much. I haven't seen you in the comments, but I know you're one of my loyal subscribers. Yes, positivity, bumper and vids. Yes, see, you've seen it. Because he's watched a lot of my videos. Because he's like a dedicated subscriber. So Tom Hanks, for sure. Chad Rogers, this is a good question. Do you refer to actors by first name or Mr. or Miss or Mrs. or whatever? So this is kind of funny because I don't want to say who the actor is, but different actors like to be called different things. So like, for example, someone who has like an AKA, like Queen Latifah is a perfect example, right? Like she has a real name, but everyone knows her as Queen Latifah, right? So like it depends on who you are. You like if you are a close friend, you like are like one of her people, then you can probably call her by her real name. But for us in the industry, it's like we call her Queen because that's her professional name. Does that make sense? I don't think I've ever called anyone Mr. or Mrs. last name of an actor. For me, I'd be like, that'd be really awkward. I don't think I don't know if I'd ever just use the name. If I ever have to knock on their door and invite them to set, as an AD, I don't tend to do that as much anymore, so it's great. But I just wouldn't use the name. I'd be like, okay, they want you on set. And on the walkie, I usually character names. So when I'm firsting feature films or whatever, I tend to go with a character name, and I use it interchangeably because that helps me figure out who is who, especially if I have a lot of actors. Like I'm really good with memorizing people's names. I don't know why. I am always adamant about knowing people's names, and I will remember them, and I will try my hardest to remember. So with actors, since I have two names, I always use them interchangeably to make sure that I have it straight, like who is playing who. Because if it's like 5 dudes and you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna get all these people straight? Like I just try my hardest to make sure that I know their names, their character names as well. Some people like to be called their character names. If they're on set and they're in the moment, they want to be called their character names. Some people don't care. They can switch on and off when they're in the moment or they're not in the moment. Like you can say method acted, whatever. But some people they can be in a serious scene. They will be like, say, for example, they're in a car. 2 people are having a serious conversation in a car. They're going to be laughing, ha, 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 ha. And then, okay, they say action, they turn it on. And they can just go right into the character and get right into that emotion right away. And as soon as you yell cut, they go right back into the joke they had before you even started rolling. And I find that to be absolutely fascinating, how you can just go in and out of a character and a mindset. I don't know if I were an actor, I don't know if I would be able to do that. I'd be like, okay, it would take me a minute to like come down from certain things, I think. But as far as names, like it depends. It's always up to the actor, like what they want, because they will state their preference, or someone who has worked with them before will say they like to be addressed this way. So it just depends on, their preference. There's no like set way to do it. Usually if I'm just meeting an actor or if I'm just working with them, especially if I like meet them in prep or rehearsals and stuff, I'll ask them like, how do you want to be addressed on set? And some are like, oh, I don't care. Some people are like, oh, just character names, good. Like I ask for their preference beforehand. I'm gonna go back to the chat really quick. So, so oh yeah, that's right. She helped. Okay, Gisela. Shout out to Gisela. Because the reason why you can hear this audio so well and the reason you can hear me and it's not echoing is because she came on my test stream for like 5-10 minutes and she'd let me know if she could hear me. She'd let me know if she could hear me like well or echo. Like, so shout out to her for helping me out. Everyone's got to give her a clap. I'm just saying, like, give a clap in the chat for her, because if it was not for her helping me troubleshoot this, oh my goodness, I would be still trying to figure out my audio for this live stream. So thank you, Gisela. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So Gisela, I want to, okay, so I helped you with the audio check up 10 days ago. My daughter's in Atlanta. So yes, I totally remember you, and I want to know how your daughter is doing in Atlanta. Let me know how she's doing. I'm just curious how everyone's doing. I just like updates. I'm obsessed with like updates when people tell me about certain things. I just love getting updates about it. So back to Jonathan the PA. Have you experienced an actor who took method acting to the next level? I have not, thankfully, because I don't know how I would react. I would just probably be totally caught off guard, but also maybe just if I had a warning, I would be more mentally prepared for it. You know, I think, I don't know. I have never experienced an actor with that like next level of method acting. I hear Joaquin Phoenix is one of those folks where, and I think, God, Jared Leto is also someone who's very method, you know? So I have not worked with either of those actors. But I feel like with all my experience, I'd be like, okay, we can do this. Why not? It adds another like element to the variety to what comes with filmmaking. That's one thing I love about filmmaking. It's like you will have so much variety to the day, and the locations and the actors and everyone's quirks, like the director quirks, like people you're working with, everyone has different things about them that make your day different from the next and the next. It's like each day is a snowflake. Very unique. Like you're never going to get the same day on a set, and I love that. Okay. Dallas Dan, method actors are fun, some never break character. That has to be fun. I mean, really, it does have to be, but also I'd be like, I'm trying to work also. Like, we're setting up, you gotta go away. Brad Superior Entertainment, what do you think is the hardest thing about being in the film industry? What is the hardest thing about being in the film? I have to think about this. Let me think on this for a second. Gosh. Those of you who work in film, put your answers in the chat. Like, what's the hardest thing for you guys working in film? I definitely want to hear from Jonathan the PA because you're a key PA. I think that being a key PA is one of the hardest positions on set. Like, even above, like, some of the AD positions. Like, if you were to ask me, is being a key PA harder than being a assistant director, a second? Because they're, like, you have key PA and then you have, like, second. Like, they're right near each other. Like second AD is like so much fun and I love it, but key PA, there's so many things you got to do. So I'm actually curious. I want to hear from other people in the chat, like what is the hardest thing for you working in the film industry? I think for me, when I am on a long job, like those 10-month jobs and day in day out, like, I have to agree with Chad here. It's the hours. I think it's the hours, and it's just not having, like, I have to really put an effort in to get my life balance, right? So I think I have different habits because, like, I'm doing Beyond Film School, so I do videos, and I have to cram a lot of the things into the weekend when I have my days off. So that's kind of hard because I love doing Beyond Film School. I love doing these live streams. I love doing videos and interviews and, you know, putting on the Set PA training and, you know, making sure that my online training course is actually working and, like, running my website. All that stuff I do by myself. So, like, I have to cram all that into, like, a weekend when I'm staffed on a job, which is very, very hard for me. So, but that's different because not everyone is doing what I do, right? So not everyone has a YouTube channel that works in the film industry. But I think it's like when you are in film and you're working like 70, 80 hours a week, you don't have time to like do your laundry. You don't have time to like do certain things on the weekend. And plus you're exhausted. If you're not taking care of your body during the week and you're like getting to the weekend, you're trying to catch up, it's not good. it's not good. So like for me, knowing that I have to take care of my body as much as possible during the week, do stretching, do exercising, drink enough water, eating enough vegetables, not eating sugar, like all those things lead up to me having enough energy on the weekends. And a lot of people tend to just forget to take care of themselves. I think that's the hardest part, making sure you're taking care of yourself so you have a nice couple of days where you are not totally exhausted and you are just sleeping on the weekend. So I think that's my answer. I think the life balance and making sure that you are very disciplined and you're like, I will not eat that sugary thing, even though the last 2 days I was on set, I totally ate all the sugar because the Halloween candy was everywhere, guys. It was everywhere. And I ate so much candy on Thursday. And then I said to myself on Friday, I was not going to eat candy. I told my friends, and I was like, I will not eat candy today. I got all the way up till 6 p.m. My call time was like 8:30 in the morning. I got all the way to 6 p.m. with no sugar. And then I was like, all right, we had a little mini Halloween party at lunchtime. And I was like, I am eating sugar. I don't care. I burned, I did 25,000 steps that day. And the next day I ran a 10K. So, I burned the sugar. As far as I'm concerned, I burned the sugar. Okay, I'm falling behind in the chat. Let's see. Let's see. I gotta look at my other chat. The hardest thing about being, so hi, you should go live more. Oh yeah, Brad Sapir, thank you so much for saying that. I'm trying to make this a more weekly thing because I am date playing right now, which makes my hours so much more flexible so I can do this more often. So definitely more coming your way for sure. So thank you, Gisela. Thank you. Again, let's see. I am caught up. Let's see. Worked with an actor this Easter who never took their costume off, always in character, off screen and free time, and also when talking to the actors in the hotel where we stayed. That's definitely, I guess that is interesting. And I think that would be, that can go either to the fun, like what Dallas Dan was talking about, or it can get to like the extreme where you're like, oh, come on, man, come on. It depends on their character. Obviously, definitely depends on their character, 100%. So back to Gisela. She just started on the movie The Idea of You with Anne Hathaway. Yeah. She's usually a PA, but is doing health and safety on this one. And you know what? It's good that she's doing health and safety because she's probably getting paid a few dollars more an hour, which is good. So, and that's like a good area to kind of like network and like talk to all the departments. So that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that, that she's working on something and she's probably killing it. Especially because her mom's like on YouTube watching someone like me. So Jonathan, the PA, well, as a key PA in Norway means not only doing ADing on set, we are such a small crew that I have multiple tasks that goes outside what your key PA are used to. So you're like getting double duty. You're like dealing with everything. You're like managing the PA team. You're doing all kinds of crazy. So yes, I think key PA still definitely like the hardest. I mean, we can get into a debate about this. I'm sorry. We totally debate about this. Key PA is hard. The only other position I will say is harder is the key second. It's the only one I'll say is that's harder. Brad Superior Entertainment. What made me get into film? Oh gosh. I mean, I have a whole video that talks about it. And I can probably put that video in the chat somewhere if I find it in time. But my background, just the long and short of it is this. I didn't really know that film was an option when I was growing up. Wasn't in the frame of reality for me to be like, oh yes, I want to work on movies. That's a career that I can have. I kind of got my way into film by the way of photography and wanting to do DP work. By the time I got to college, I figured out that director of photography was a thing and I could, mess with lighting and mess with composition and stuff like that. And then finally, when I was working on an indie set, I saw first AD and I was like, that's my calling. I want to be an assistant director. But why I got into film and why I choose to stay here, I guess is the bigger question. The question behind the question is like why I work in film now. There is no other job that I enjoy more. I need to have variety to my schedule. I need to have variety to my day. I cannot go to the same place every time and do the same hours every day. I can't see the same people. I get restless and I get very bored. Plus, I'm an Aquarius, so we get a little rebellious, and I want to do different things. We have a level of spontaneity that I need in my life for sure. So film satisfies all those things. Also, it's hard. And my personality, I'm not trying to do anything easy, of course. I have to be stubborn. I'm going to do the hard thing. And it's hard to get into film. It's hard to stay here. So that's kind of where I am. That's why I work in film. And that's why I started working in film. Because it just kind of appealed to so many different things about my personality where I was like, I'm proud to be here. It is hard. I'm going to grind. I'm going to do what I want. And it's just, I don't know. I just think that working in film, like, it satisfies a lot of the things that I seek in my life. So, and plus I get to do this and give people advice and like help people and like, oh man, there's so many answers. Brad Superior, I hope that helped. I hope that answered the question. I hope so. So DS down, I've directed 3 short films so far. I hate being short-staffed, or I've got people who don't know what they're doing. Definitely makes the job harder. Script supervisors are lifesavers. Facts. So that's the thing with when you're doing these shorts and when you're in the indie world, 100%, you are at the mercy of people who give you their word they're gonna be there, or that they know what they're doing. So it's always hard hiring. I mean, I think for anyone in any industry, because people just definitely want the job and they think that they can wing it and they think that they could just, you know, they'll figure it out. And sometimes you can't always, like, I'm all about confidence and resourcefulness, but there's a range and there's definitely parameters you have to stay in. Like, I can't just be like, hey, I'm gonna, you know, hop on and be a gaffer. I've worked on set a lot, but do I know how to gaff? No. I've watched a gaffer do a lot of things. I can probably throw some terms in there, like, but I'm definitely not going to know what the hell I'm doing at all. So I definitely sympathize with that, empathize with that, like trying to get people to make sure that like they know what they're doing and you're getting the, like the right crew members and stuff. Okay, let's see. I can't type today. Yo, I can't even speak today, Jonathan, so we're good. You can't type, I can't talk. We're here together. We're doing it. Brad Superior, do you guys feel like film school is necessary? Okay, so films. We'll definitely get back to the other questions I've gotten. But I like these questions. I like answering your questions. So you can ask all the questions because I love answering questions. So do you guys feel like film school is necessary? Absolutely not. If I had like a buzzer or like an X or like a thing, I would totally press it now. No, you don't need film school. Everything you need, you can learn on set. Learn in books. Watch director commentary. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do, but you do not need film school to get in film. Don't. Saying it now, straight to the camera. You don't need film school. And if you want to film school, that's fine. Everyone's got their reasons. Everyone's got their resources they got to utilize. Because sometimes, like, if I didn't go to the school I went to, I didn't go to a film school. I went to, like, a regular college. I went to University of Buffalo, then I went to Buff State, and I got a degree in media production. So, like, I learned how to edit, use camera and lighting, but, like, did we do narrative script stuff? No. Like, did we do the stuff I do on set? Definitely not. Did I learn anything about how to be assistant director in school? Not at all. So all the stuff I know how to do, like making call sheets, making a schedule, breaking down a script, like all those things, managing a team, being a leader on set, team morale, set morale, safety concern, like all those things that I encounter as an AD on set or a PA on set, did I learn how to do them in film school? Absolutely not. No. There are uses for film school, like, you know, but you can learn all the things in books or even in master classes or shorter courses on like how to be a better director and all these things and how to be a better storyteller, how to, you know, working on your writing. There's certain writing groups that you can join that you can be a better script writer. You can be, you know, a better director of photography. I feel like to be a better director of photography, you gotta get into some art history, which is good, or maybe even making sure that you're shooting things. Like, just because you're in film school doesn't mean you're going to get the experience you need for any of the positions on set. So, okay, that was my thing about film school. We can talk more about film school if you want, but man, I have real strong opinions about film school. Do you need it? Absolutely not. Typical task for a PA in Norway. Oh wait, I want to see what John said. In my opinions, film school is not necessary, but it will help you get connections and experience before going out in the business. This is true. Film school is what you make of it. It is definitely what you make of it. Everything that you do in your life is what you make out of it. There is no easy door. There is no easy access. There is no like shortcut when it comes to basically any industry. And especially with film, because some people are looking for the fast way there, and film school is not the fast way. It's another way, but it's not the fast pass. And some people are always looking for that, especially in this day and age. You're looking for instant gratification. And if you're looking for instant, let me tell you, I've been working, and I'm actually going to make a video after this live stream. I'm going to be making a video about my road from Set PA to AD and what that entailed. And when I started, how many years it took to get to my goal. Like, my goal to be a DGA AD is like 12 years in the making, or 10 years in the making, or something like that. So there is no fast pass. If I went to film school, would it have been faster? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But also, I didn't have the money to go to film school, and a lot of people don't. Do I have 72 grand a year to go to NYU? No. And many people do not, and that's probably more now. That was a price that I've got like 3 years ago or something like that when I was looking into how much it is for film school. No, I think last year, that film school video I made, it's like, it's really expensive. So, I mean, and I think it's crazy, it's overly expensive. Like, why is film school so damn expensive? I mean, why is college that expensive in the first place? Folks in Norway, Jonathan, y'all, I don't think are paying for college, which I wish in the States it was, like, it was that way. Like, we didn't have to pay for college. Okay. So, Jonathan, crafty log off, toilet wagons, location assistant duties, check on actors, other PA duties. Okay. All right. Okay. Learning by doing. Yo, I totally agree with you, Jonathan. Learn by doing 100%. So, Gisela, no need for school, just need the help to get on set and network. Yes. It is another networking avenue. And there are so many other networking avenues that you can take. So, yeah. Chad Rogers, best film school is starting out from the bottom and learning your way up. Facts. Sorry, I don't know. Chad, you're pretty dope, because we seem to be in the same, like, got some same wavelengths here. I never went to film school myself. Great. That's, I mean, I support. I think that sometimes I get a little hard on the people who went to film school, because I think I talk too much shit about film school grads, because the reason why is because on set, there comes a time where, like, the film school grads get, like, real big for their britches, and they start adding a little more opinions than they should, and they don't really have the set experience, but because they went to film school, they get a little too confident, and you're like, hold your roll, sir. Like, you know, you gotta, like, hold your roll, not pun intended, because we're on film set. Sorry. I amuse myself way too much. So you have those film school grads who get kind of arrogant, and you're like, man, like, why? Like, they have so much to learn. And I think film schools, they give you this weird false sense of confidence. Like, you have any right to tell a director or a DP or the first AD what's what. And you're like, bro, you are like 22 years old. Will you calm down? You've never really stepped foot on a real film set, and you're trying to give me advice on how to run the, like, oh gosh. I mean, I said this in my last video. I believe it was film set mistakes, where it's like, your opinion is not always welcomed. Your unsolicited opinion, like, sometimes when you're new and you're starting out, like, I'm not saying your voice doesn't matter, because everyone's voice matters in the world, but not in every scenario. Okay, not in every scenario. What I will say is this, is that if you're asked, 100% give your opinion. If you're asked for it, unsolicited, not so much. So that's why I definitely am hard on film school grads, but they have it hard too. They realize that once they're out of film school, they realize that, oh yes, that wasn't, you know, what I thought it would be. And they're like, they have to start at the bottom, like all the other PAs on set. So that's something else too. Okay, so getting back to my common questions while everyone is chatting away, I love it. What's your favorite movie? I hate this question so much. I hate it so much. Why do I hate this question? Now, please, in the chat, tell me what your favorite movie is, because it's probably easy for you. It's probably easy if you're like, yes, my favorite movie is this. And I love that. And if you say Citizen Kane, I don't believe you. Don't say Citizen Kane, because I don't believe you. Don't say some Orson Welles movie. Don't say Psycho from, like, you know, back in the day, or like, because I won't believe you. And if it is, okay, fine. Your favorite movie is that. If it's that, it's that. It's fine. I don't like this question because I feel like there's so much pressure. I think my love of movies is very different from people who are working in the industry and have, like, such a critique of movies, and they're really good reviewers of, like, what a good quality movie is. I can tell you right now, that my top 2 movies are highly criticized. So I never tell people what my favorite movie is. So I do that thing. There's this like weird confidence public speaking method that I use. When you're public speaking or when you get asked a question, if you don't like the question and you don't know what to say to that, like if you don't know what answer to give to that question, it's a really cool method where you answer the question that you want to answer, right? So when people say, what's your favorite movie? And I go, you know what? I like, you know what movie really sticks out? Like the first movie I ever saw in theaters was Batman, the original Batman with Michael Keaton. So that's always stuck with me. Not really saying that's my favorite movie, but what I'm saying is I'm giving an answer that's a little bit more satisfying for me and a little bit more interesting to them because there's a little bit of story there, right? Where it's like, I think I was like 4 years old or something like that when that movie came out, or I can't, but I definitely remember that was the first movie I saw. And that's like my boilerplate default answer when people ask me what my favorite movie is, because my favorite movie is like Nightmare Before Christmas or like Constantine with Keanu Reeves. I love those movies. Or Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. No one knows that movie. If you know Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, please let me know, because I love that movie. I don't know why I love that movie. Jimmy Stewart's amazing. I basically love every movie that Jimmy Stewart is in. Goodness, I don't know why I love him as an actor. But yes, original Batman's my answer. Constantine, Nightmare Before Christmas, which I watched Nightmare Before Christmas this past weekend because it's Halloween. Happy Halloween again for everybody. So the favorite movie I get not from strangers, but more crew members who meet me on set. They're like, yeah, what's your favorite movie? It's like their default conversation starter type thing. And I always get so nervous because there's a lot of judgment and you should be confident and don't worry about how people judge you. But when you work in film and people ask you what your favorite movie is, you gotta come up with something like No Country for Old Men or something. When like, if that's your favorite movie, there's no way that's anyone's favorite movie. Like, how is that anyone's favorite movie? It's like, okay, maybe it's someone's favorite movie. I feel bad that I'm like, poo-pooing someone's like favorite movie. But like, you have to say something like really dynamic and really great that like won an Oscar or something. So there's like a lot of judgment that goes into when you say your favorite movie. I'm gonna go back to the chat. Okay. Just adding on every show, movie production here, so you can put that into perspective. Wait, I gotta. Usually one. Oh gosh, just adding to the duties list. Usually only 1 or 2 PAs on every show or movie production here, so you can put that into perspective. You're doing a lot of work, Jonathan. So kudos to you. You're doing a lot of work. 2 PAs, 30 to 60. Yeah, okay, and usually 1 runner. Okay, I feel like I've definitely done indie movies with that, where I've been like the only AD and I've had like 2 PAs, where like sort of like my 1 PA was sort of a key PA, but not really. But like as me being the only AD, I did all the AD responsibilities, so I definitely get that. It's been a dream since I was like 5. Yo, follow your dreams. Pratt Superior. Okay, I don't know how old you are or where you are in your mission or your journey, your film career journey, but like if it has been your dream, follow your dreams. Keep going after it because you can and you will. That's exactly how I feel. What Citizen Kane? Citizen Kane is like the original like OG masterpiece of a movie. It's the movie that is shown directed by Orson Welles. It's like black and white, way back in the day. I'm probably butchering all the details about this movie. I honestly don't remember the plot of this movie. I haven't seen it in years. I've seen it twice in my life, but every film school, every media production, any type of film 101 class, intro to film history or whatever, Orson Welles' Citizen Kane is going to be the movie that they show. It is like, if you're learning about filmmaking, there are so many things that they did in that movie that were like revolutionary in filmmaking. Like the first shot is super famous because it's like this super long shot where it like goes through the town and it's like super long and like it like whizzes in and out and stuff. And it's like an amazing super long shot where like when you think about it from an AD standpoint, like logistically speaking, a lot of things had to be in place in order for that take to work. So Citizen Kane is like something like, you have to have, if you're any film student worth their salt or you went to school for any type of film anything, this is a movie that you would watch because you're going to learn like a whole bunch or whatever. So, yeah, Citizen Kane, some people are like, oh, Citizen Kane. So, and it's like film students always say Citizen Kane is their favorite movie. It's like, I don't know why. I don't know why. So, Jonathan, definitely look up Citizen Kane. You'll probably be able to see it free somewhere. So just like Forrest Gump and Pearl Harbor, right? So I actually love Forrest Gump. Some people hate on Forrest Gump. I've loved that movie. I've seen it so many times. Not my favorite movie, but I definitely love that movie. Pearl Harbor, I've seen like once. I've seen like one time, maybe twice. Wasn't really into it. I don't know why. Didn't really care for Pearl Harbor. Didn't really care for it. So Erica, I don't have one, but I just rewatched Eve's Bayou as an adult. I don't even know what that is. I wish I knew what that was. It has an entirely different meaning to me now. Yes, Jimmy Stewart. Dallas, damn digital production. My favorite movie, a film I can rewatch over and over, Jaws. Constantine is great. Yes! Someone likes Constantine. Okay, day is done. I can end this live stream. I have been validated because I can watch Constantine over and over and over again. And I believe that Constantine 2 with Keanu Reeves is actually like gonna be greenlit. So I'm like super excited. If I got to work on Constantine 2, God, I could die. Okay. Let's see, Jaws. I mean, I've seen Jaws once, and I went on the Jaws ride before they got rid of it at Universal Studios, so I feel a little accomplished. But John Wick, Nolan's Batman, yes. But honestly, I love Inception. That is definitely one of my top movies, and people hate Inception. People like loathe Inception. I don't know why, but I love, for the most part, any of Nolan's movie. Christopher Nolan, I love that dude. I love how he directs. I love how he tells stories. The only one I did not really like was Tenet. Tenet was like, whew, I feel like I gotta be at genius level to understand that movie. I gotta watch it over like 3 times because Tenet, I feel like I just could not jive with that movie. That was the only movie that that he made that I could not really like grasp. I was really like kind of not interested, kind of like so confused that I was just like, what am I watching type thing? So there's that. Citizen Kane, so true. Every film Apprentice history class shows at least a clip. Dallas, you're totally that's facts. Totally right. At least a clip. There's going to be something. They'll probably, in the clip that you'll see, they're like at the end of the movie or the beginning of the movie where that long shot is. Like, look how long this shot is and what they had to do to make this thing happen. Let's see. I am a disgrace to the film industry not knowing most of the stuff that's happening. No. We don't do that. We're talking about positivity because you don't know what you don't know, okay? If you don't know something, how do you know what you don't know, folks? And this is how you get more information and, like, you learn more. It's like talking to people in the community of people in film. So, yeah, and plus you never went to film school, so how would you know, right? Like, I feel like Citizen Kane is, like in those circles of people who are, like, obsessing with, like, films and stuff like that. So you don't know what you don't know. So we don't want any of that you're a disgrace kind of talk, Jonathan. Sorry, going with this positive vibes only. Okay, great. Victoria's on my side. I love Constantine as well. Thank you so much. I feel like watching it now because it's like, oh my God. Also, I have worked with what's that name? Rachel Weisz, who was the co-star in that movie, like who played opposite Keanu Reeves. She's a gem. She's very, very nice. Gem. Yeah, I think, okay, I have to find, I'm pretty sure, unless it was an April Fool's joke, but it was not April. And I think I knew this like a couple weeks ago, but definitely Constantine 2. I feel like I saw the news article, the outlet article from Variety or Hollywood Reporter or something that they were talking about Constantine 2. My friend sent it to me. I was very excited. And if it doesn't happen, I'll be very, very upset. Okay. I like a lot of movies, but I don't want to say that a movie is my favorite because it means that I should know everything about it in my opinion. I don't know if that's exactly true, but I feel like some people will definitely hold you to that type of like answer. Like, oh, this is your favorite movie? So who directed it? Who are the main actors? And like sometimes I'm like, if you ask me who directed Constantine, I literally could not tell you. It's my favorite movie, could not tell you who directed. I'm really bad with knowing I'm really bad with knowing like director names for some reason really escape me. Like, it's really hard for me to retain director names for some reason. It's very, very, like I said, I was good with names when I meet them in person, but like retaining the knowledge of like all the different movies. So I definitely get that anxiety about like not telling someone my favorite movie only because I don't know all the facts about it. Do I know who directed the original Batman? Fuck yes, I do. Tim Burton did. Thank you very much. And people like to talk so much shit about the Tim Burton Batmans. I don't care because I love those Batmans because Jack Nicholson was great. And let's see, Danny DeVito as a Penguin in the second one. Michael Keaton as Batman. Absolutely love. Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. Please. All of those things about the original Batmans, After 1 and 2, I tend to kind of fall off. I'm like, I still watch them, but like after 1 and 2, even though Jim Carrey was the Riddler, I was still a fan. Like this is some older talk, because like we're talking about like movies that were like back in the day. For anyone, any of my younger live stream folks here, like I don't know what you were able to see, but the people who are my age, like we definitely, like thinking about older movies and like original Batman, love it. Even though Christopher Nolan, definitely The Dark Knight. Really, really, really great. Okay, so Giselle, I think that I love Pearl Harbor so much is because I was there when it was being made, and I was able to attend the premiere. Okay, so Gisela, like that makes sense to me. Like that, the reason why it like kind of holds such a warm spot in your heart, right? Like that, I get it. Like, do I remember the first movie I worked on? Goodness me, I don't. Well, actually I do. That was the one that kind of changed my career, but it was an indie movie, right? So it wasn't like released in theaters. So I think that is part of it. So I definitely get that, where it's like, that's my favorite movie because like I was a part of it being made and I was at the premiere. Like that makes sense. That totally makes sense to me. Like that, there's like an emotional connection there. That just makes sense. Okay. It was just a positive, negative roast of myself. Never intended. No, okay, so self-deprecation, right? Is that what? Yes. That people do that. It's like people think it's allowed, and it's not allowed. It's not allowed. But okay, yeah, you're just being yourself. Okay, I welcome people. Okay. So Stand By Me and The Woman King. Stand By Me. Yes. Okay. Yes. Francis Lawrence. Thank you so much. Now, okay. Thank you, Dallas Sand, for telling me about the director, because now I remember. I'm like, duh, Francis Lawrence, duh. What's your proudest, okay, Jonathan Pia, what's your proudest moment working in the film industry, and what did you learn from it? My proudest moment. Goodness me. If someone can share their proudest moment in the film industry, please let me know. My proudest moment. Oh my God. I mean, oh my goodness. I don't know. That is hard. What's your proudest moment working in the industry, and what did you learn from it? My proudest moment. That's a hard one. I have to think on this, Jonathan. That's a hard question. That's a really, my proudest moment? Oh my God. I don't know. God, I have to like adjust my chair and everything. I'm not sure what my proudest moment is. Oh my goodness. I have to really think about that. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Okay, so Erica, oh wait, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is definitely one of my favorites. People love that movie. And that is definitely, I love those types of movie where it kind of like has different layers of like psychology in it and like emotions and stuff. So it's not my favorite movie, but I definitely do like it, and I appreciate that movie like 100%. And plus also like Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet like were amazing in that movie. Like, and what's that, Elijah Wood too. Like they were all great actors in that movie. Like all did very, very well. Like, oh my goodness. I was just serving in the Army then. They were recording some scenes in the building next to where I worked. So that's amazing. Like the fact that you remember that, and like that's a moment. That's like a moment. I love that. Thanks, Giselle, for sharing that like little like tidbit of your life. I just like, I don't know. I just feel like I like know you now. The chat can also answer my questions. Love it. Yes, of course. Okay, so working in film, okay, Dallas, Dan, you gotta help me out here, and like anyone else who's worked in film, like what is your proudest moment, and what did you learn from it? Oh my word, I don't know, this is a hard one. My proudest moment. I think one of my okay, I'm gonna think about this. So my proudest moment, I think, that comes to mind, and there might be another one that I have like another, might have another answer down the line. But like my proudest moment, I think, would probably be the first time I was a second. And this was in last year, actually, probably like a DGA second. Like I've been an indie AD for a while. And like, I think getting into the DGA has been a very, very, like, very big goal for me, right? Me not really coming from anything, not having any like, I'm first generation college student, like, grew up, like, super, like, paycheck to paycheck, like, barely, like, my dad was like, hey, you want to go to college? That shit's on your own. Like, baby girl, like, we can't afford college for you. So, coming from, like, those beginnings and being able to get into the DGA was a big moment for me. So, when I was bumped up to second, and it was a big weekend because it was on the movie of, Chain Can Dunk. I believe it's on Disney Plus now. I think it's released because it's been like a whole year since we were in production. And it was a big weekend. We had a lot of background. We had like, it was really awesome because there was like a whole drum line, like a marching band, and there was like audience members that were there. And I remember having to do some dope ass background, and like all these kids had instruments, and it was just like so many things were happening. And I just felt very empowered by the ADs who put me in that position. And I just killed it that weekend. You know, I focused. I didn't doubt my ability, even though I was like, this is my first time being a DGA second. And I just was so proud of myself that I was like, yo, I think I did really, really great. Like, did I say that out loud? No. But like the feedback that I got and like me handling all these like problems that came up and just, you know, going with it and all the pressure and just, you know, being there for the director, making sure that that person got what they needed for background, and it's, you know, getting along. And I don't know, there was just so many moments that weekend, because I was, you know, we shot on the weekends because we would need the school. So, and the school was closed on the weekend. So anything that big had to happen were on the weekends. And I just felt so proud of myself that I was like, I was scared. I was nervous. I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but like, yes, I can. Like, there was definitely this like duality happening. I'm like, do I deserve to be here? Do I have the self-worth? Like, listen, ladies on this chat, or even guys, I don't know, but self-worth is definitely a thing with the female community. Like, we just think that we are not worth so many things that we are. And I think I battled that for so long. And like, that was the start of me making that transition of like, yes, I deserve this. I've worked so hard to get here. And like, yes, I'm killing it. And like, I'm leading the team and I'm being a leader and I'm like trying my best and I'm empowering my team. And I'm just like, I'm being nice at background. I respect all the human beings on set. I'm like, oh. So I think that for me was one of my the first time I was a second. When I got my contract, I cried because of a lot of money. Because when you become a DGA AD, you're like, oh my God, like the money changes your life. And it's just the responsibility of it. It's just like, it's just, for me, it was overwhelming, but I was very, very proud of like just stepping up to the challenge and just being like, yes, you know, and like, I got a lot of good feedback because there are so many women who like come up to me and they're like, thank you for just being a strong woman in the industry. And that shit makes me want to break down and cry all the time. I'm like, like really like that. When people tell me stuff like that, I get really emotional because it was hard for me to look up to find other women to look up to in the industry, and like women that were kind of like me, and like just a feminine woman in general to find on set was very hard for me. Whereas and then this is weird because I felt like for some reason it's always this really masculine like woman that is a first AD, and I'm like, I'm pretty aggressive and I can be masculine, but like I'm not. Do you know what I mean? It's like I couldn't really find someone who I felt fit the type of person I was. So for me, looking up to women, I'm just glad that there are women in the industry that are like, Amber, like, you inspire me. I aspire to be you one day, and thanks for doing what you're doing. Like, that shit makes me like bawl. Like, I'm just like, oh God. Like, it just, for me, like those are some of my proudest moments. Okay, I'm getting emotional. I'm gonna check the chat because I'm getting emotional here. Oh God. Okay. What do you think is vital to know when going to film? Vital? Know yourself. You gotta know yourself. If you don't know who you are as a person, oh man, you are just going to get eaten alive. You are going to cry. You're going to have hard days. If you don't have conviction in who you are, your beliefs, your values, you're not going to last very long in film, because there are people who are going to want to stomp you out. They're going to want to compete with you. They're going to want to take you out or be better than you, or, you know, it's just, if you don't know yourself, and that's probably not the answer you're looking for, Brett Superior Entertainment. That's probably not the answer you're looking for. If you do not know yourself and you are not at least strong-willed in the values that you have as a person, filmmaking is not going to be for you. It's not going to be for you. I'm sorry. And then if anyone else has any other advice for Brett Superior that is vital going into film, that's my number one thing. Know yourself. Be comfortable in your skin. Know who you are as a person. Know what your values are. Know what you value in life. Know your strengths and weaknesses. You have to know who you are as a person to make it in film. And I literally believe this. And I think not until I truly knew myself was when my success started to actually grow. And I started to grow in the industry and people started hiring more. So you have to know yourself, and you got to go through a lot of hard stuff to get to know yourself. So knowing yourself, probably like the number one thing that I have to say about like what's vital when you're going to film. And that's probably not the answer you want, because a lot of people are not expecting that type of answer. Like, that's some deep ass shit. Dallas Dan, I've only worked on a couple times on a pro set. My proudest moment hasn't happened yet, to be honest. And there is nothing wrong with that answer. I love that answer. You're like, you know what? Like, maybe it hasn't happened yet. And I think that the fact that you know it's going to happen, like, there's going to be a moment. It's not happy, but the moment's coming. The moment is definitely coming, for sure. Like, I love that answer, Dallas. I love it. How do you all feel about Christian movies? Yo, there is this one Christian movie. Matter of fact, it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Redemption. I didn't even know I was watching a Christian movie, but I liked it. I don't mind Christian movies because, like, yes, I have a belief in God. I am not an atheist. I have different values. We don't got to talk about religion all like that, but what I will say is that there is a place and there's a market for Christian movies, and there's people who follow Christianity beliefs. Sometimes they can be really cheesy. Sometimes they be really dope, like that movie Redemption that I watched. Like, I thought that was a great movie, and I was like, I didn't even know I was watching a Christian movie, but there were some God things in there that people had a big problem with, but I liked it. Some people really eat those movies alive. Like, they get really bad reviews. Like, the critics are like, they tear them apart. But that could be because, like, sometimes the reviewers are like not trying to feel Christian movies. But for me, the way I review or critique movies is I take the movie for what it is. I don't try to compare movies to other movies that they're not. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to compare Constantine to, like, you know, Silver Linings Playbook. You know, like, I'm not going to take those two movies into, like, like, I just feel like that's just a weird, like, critique, right? So some people tear Christian movies apart, but I mean, if you like Christian movies, watch Christian movies. You know what I mean? Is there any difference in the responsibilities in indie versus union? Now, this depends, Erica, what you're talking about as far as, like, what position. Because indie movies, you're going to be doing a lot of different stuff. You could be, like, driving the truck, also setting up crafty, setting up some C-stands, while also getting me an actor at the same time. Those are like 4 different departments. So in union, it's like, it depends on where you are in the country. Or Erica, where are you from? I don't know if you said it before, if I forgot, but Erica, let me know where you're from, because that'll tell me a little bit about like indie versus union. I can probably expand a little bit about that debate depending on like where you're from. Jonathan the PA. Then I have a follow-up question for you, Dallas. What made you go, aha, on a film set when someone taught you something, you figured out something yourself? Oh, Brad Superior, we're not, okay, who my favorite director is? Oh my Lord, okay. I'm not getting into that. I just can't, that's like, for me, that's like the favorite movie question. Like, Tim Burton I love, but people tear him apart. Christopher Nolan I love, but people tear him apart. I mean, like, and like Francis Lawrence, thank you, Dallas Dan, for telling me who the director was, because now I remember some of his other movies, and I love his movies. So, I mean, and also, oh God, I can't think of the director. Oh my goodness, I have to think about it. But yeah, so like favorite directors, like it's like for me that's like the favorite movie question, and I just like I can't do it. Everyone who wants to share their favorite director, please. But I love Tim Burton because I love his mind, and I love how how quirky and weird his ideas can go. So I love that, and people find him very cringy and like kitsch, and I'm like, I love it. And he gets really dark, but I also love when you can get dark and artistic at the same time, and accepting that darkness that might be in your head. So that's just getting a little deep with me, or like, oh no. Because like, I don't know if you guys can see that thing back there, but it says probably can't see it, but it says there's much beauty in darkness. There is much beauty in darkness. That's like, I love that phrase so much. But I mean, you're talking to a person who wears black every single day, all black. Okay, so Chad Rogers, make friends that you can share your holy shit moments. Yo, that's facts. Chad, that's for real, because I have some real close film friends that I don't think I could survive in this industry without. Like, but I also have friends outside the industry that like keep me grounded at the same time. So there's that. Jonathan the PA, if you don't have patience or struggle to grow and learn from your mistakes, I think there's little time for you here. So true. I think that is so valuable because if you're not willing to learn and change and get feedback and adjust, like I know some PAs and some people who are just starting out, they go into it thinking that they have all the answers. I will tell you right now, you do not have all the answers. You do not have all the answers. Even me, even many people who have been in the industry for decades, I'm working on probably 13 years, 14 years now in the industry. I don't have all the answers. You're never going to have all the answers. And if you can't take someone critiquing and if you don't want to be better, a better version of yourself, a better whatever position you're trying to be in, if you don't want to be better and try and learn and grow as you keep going, there's definitely not going to be room for you. I completely agree with Jonathan here. You can, everyone in the chat can answer all the questions. Okay, so Erica, you're from New York. So, I mean, the main difference is for union versus indie, it's we don't touch gear. If you're not in that department, don't touch their stuff. I mean, a set PA on an indie film shoot could be doing a whole bunch of stuff, working close to camera, working close with the grips, being able to ask questions to the lighting team, and working with hair and makeup, getting those certain things, steaming wardrobe for wardrobe folks. But in the union world, you could be on a lockup for 12 hours in Central Park when you don't see anything. So for me, sometimes there's definitely a place for you to work in the indie world because you will be able to see more, get closer to the crew members a little bit more, and you'll learn more, and you'll just be able to absorb a lot more, and you'll also get to ask more questions too. So I like that, where in the indie world, you're a little bit closer to everybody, and it's a little bit more friendly to people who are learning, right? And I've always just been on those sets where it's hey, this happens, or XYZ happens. This is how, it's I just love that. In union, there's a whole lot more to learn, but I feel like it takes you a little bit longer to understand some of the things that are happening around you because you're just not close to everything. Whereas in indie, it's close proximity. Erica, I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope it does. I hope it answers your question. So going back to the common questions, I get how long does it take to make that TV or show or that movie? They always say, how long does it take? And then I have to say, well, we're shooting one page of the scene today, and it is, or actually, I think I got this question on Power, season whatever. I have no idea. It was years ago. And someone asked me, what they were shooting. I said, we're shooting Power. And they're like, how long does this usually take? And I was like, well, this scene is 1/8 of a page, and it's taking 10 hours. It literally was 1/8 of a page that we were shooting all day long because it was like a drive-by shooting, and it was an action scene. The guys get out of the car, take the person they shot, and whatever. And it time-wise, it takes hours. Day-wise, I always kind of break it down into TV episodes because TV episodes could range from 8 days per episode, 9 days per episode, sometimes 10, depending on the action sequence or what's happening or how many actors or how many extras, how it depends on what is in the scene or in the movie. In movies, if it's an indie or just your everyday kind of drama, it's 21, 30-day shoot sometimes, depends. If there's special effects, if you're shooting something that's a different season, for example, the Hallmark movies that everyone loves, the Christmas movies, those are 2-week gigs. Those are 2-3, they crank those Hallmark movies out quick. So it depends. But then also Lord of the Rings is 8 months long. Or, something that they shot, what else is I can't think of any crazy epic, Game of Thrones episodes, those things took forever to make. So it really depends on what's involved. Period piece, that's going to take a long time, for sure, 100%. Going to take a long time. They always ask me how long does it take, and they're always shocked when I give them the answer, but also I have a very loaded answer when they ask me this question. So that's another question I get all the time. Let's see. What do you think about all the remarks being put out now? Oh, the remakes. Oh, the remarks. Jesus Christ, Amber. Sorry, I cannot read, apparently. Okay, what do you think about all the remakes being put out now? So here's the thing about remakes. is that there are so many things that when we were little, when I was a child back in the day, like so many things were remade that way. And then I think that just because you notice it's a remake doesn't mean that the remakes are just arriving, if that makes sense. Because I think there's always a person who's like, I love this story, so let's remake it for the next generation. And I appreciate that because there's room for certain stories for the next generation. But because we live in a day and age of like, we can just pop, like Google whatever movie and say, I want to watch it. Like, do you have to remake the movie, right? Like, I like the fact that they didn't remake Hocus Pocus, that they made Hocus Pocus 2. That was amazing. And I liked it. It was a really cute movie. I don't know if anyone else liked Hocus Pocus 2, but I loved it. So that's the other thing, where it's like sometimes people get real upset that there's like something else in the franchise that's been added on. And I'm like, why are you upset? But sometimes when they make a remake, that's just not... it's just not quality, or they didn't do it justice. They didn't do the franchise justice. Sometimes I'm like, don't remake that movie. Like some people, I think there's talk about remaking The Labyrinth where it's like, wait a minute. You can't do that. Or like some people are talking about remaking The Goonies too. And I'm like, what? Like sometimes you're just shocked because the movie itself holds up in this generation, and it's up to the parents to pass on those movies, right? So I don't know. I don't know how anyone else feels about remakes. Please give your opinion in the chat. I mean, because I don't necessarily hate all remakes for the sake of them just being remakes, but I think that there is a place for them depending on how they're made, or even if it's like a prequel or a sequel. I don't mind all these things. But there are a lot of people who have way, way stronger opinions than I do. So please let me know what you guys think about remakes. I don't know where I fall exactly. It just depends on what it turns out to be and what they plan on remaking. You know, I don't know what classic, like they're remaking The Little Mermaid. But if you take the tale of The Little Mermaid, that shit's been remade like 14 times. Just because the Disney one is the most popular one, it doesn't mean it hasn't been remade like 14 times. There's like so many variations of The Little Mermaid because The Little Mermaid's based on the story of, Hans Andersen, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. Do I have the book here? Oh, I don't have the book here. I don't know where that book is, but it's somewhere. I have it, of like the fairy tales that he made back in the, like long, long time ago. And they've just been remade like cartoons, TV movies. So like, and they're remaking the live action Little Mermaid. I'm here for it. I'm here for a remake. I love The Little Mermaid. I'm all about The Little Mermaid, even though the story of The Little Mermaid is probably not the best story to tell young girls. But either way, I loved it as a child, and it made me want to be a swimmer. So, I mean, but also I don't have toxic, was I rebellious toward my dad? I don't think so. Did I feel like I had to give everything up for guys? No. So I don't know. People are like, oh, that's telling girls the wrong thing about whatever. Okay, I'm not going to get into the debate about Little Mermaid. But either way, I think there's a place for remakes, just not all types of, every type of remake. It just depends on how they do it. If they do it well. And if, does it need to be remade? Because sometimes the remakes they think are, the reason why they remake them is because there's a love for that story, right? There's a love for that story. Also, in that realm of like they want to retell the story, they sometimes, with certain technological advances that we have, we can probably tell it better because they can give us a better show of what the story, like better CGI, better practical effects, better, whatever it is. They think like, yes, let's retell it, but let's like update it a little bit. So I understand why they want to remake certain things. So sometimes it doesn't go well. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Dallas Dan, working with a great female director on her short, she taught me that having patience with people on set and being as friendly as possible is the way to go. Being an asshole is counterproductive. So true. I don't think, I think I have a problem with having patience 100%. You have to have patience, especially if you're in any leadership role in film. You have to have patience because there's always going to be people who are just like learning and they don't know what they don't know. So you have to have patience. People are human. You can't expect perfection. We're not friggin' robots on set, right? So having patience 100%, totally on board with that. So yes, I totally agree. Being as friendly as possible. I have a problem with this because I think sometimes my overall demeanor, if I'm too friendly, this is me coming from an assistant director standpoint. I will have patience and I will be polite and I will definitely be respectful. If I get too friendly, some people tend not to do what I tell them to do, or they'll start to question my authority. So there's like there's a fine line. Like, I will treat everyone as I want to be treated. I will laugh. I will joke with you. But when I say, like, okay, we got to do it, we got to roll, like, okay, now I'm not saying the friendship stops, but what I'm saying is, like, there's a time and place. And I think being as friendly as possible, sometimes people come off as fake. I think that being authentic and being your genuine, authentic self is more important than just being as friendly as possible, because you're not going to get along with everybody, and you try to be a friend of everybody. You're not really a friend of anybody. I'm pretty sure you've heard that phrase before. A friend to everybody is a friend to none. I will be respectful and polite as possible to everyone on set, but we're not always going to be friends. So there is always that. And some people have different methods of how they treat everyone on set. But like, friendly, I get it. I'm not against friendliness. I just think that sometimes people interpret being friendly as being fake. And that's something I can't do. I can't do the fakeness on set. Like, I can see right through that bullshit. I can see right through that shit. I don't want to do it. Sorry. Okay, moving on. We're, Olivia, excellent live. Thank you for sharing so much. Thank you so much, Olivia, for joining me. And thank you to everyone who's on this live stream and watching this like hot mess of a live stream, even though she said it was excellent. And I'm going against what I just told Jonathan about being positive, because I just think my live streams are like, whew, I don't know. So I get off tangent. We start talking about all different types of things. I guess as long as I'm entertaining and you're staying here and you're watching me, I'm okay with it. So thank you, Olivia, for that. Nick Braley, is it possible to start out in the industry while keeping a retail job until work starts coming in consistently? I just worked my first PA gig 2 weeks ago, and now I'm back to work at my day job. Okay. I'm glad that you asked this question, Nick, so thank you so much for your question in the chat. And I love this question because a lot of people are like, feel like they're being a fraud, or they're imposter syndrome or something when it comes to this, right? It's like, oh, I work in film, but do you really? Because your day job or your part-time job or your side hustle or whatever is not film. If it wasn't for my side gigs, I wouldn't be in film now. So yes, I totally agree with this method. Find a job that's flexible enough, that gives you the flexibility to switch shifts or call off or adjust your schedule in a way that when that person comes calling you for some PA gigs or whatever the job is, that you can take them. Because you're trying to get every day you can on set, okay? Every day on set, every project, every day you do adds to your experience, adds to a line on your resume. And your side gig, your side hustle, that's gonna pay the bills, man. Like, okay, so maybe I went the wrong journey. When I first moved to New York City back in 2012, I used to be a barista before that. I was a barista in Buffalo. Then I had like a small like little stint on a cruise ship for a couple years in around the world, whatever. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna move to New York. I'm gonna focus on getting in film. So my objective, for some reason, I was like, I have to get a barista job. I have to learn how to be a barista. That's going to be my side flexible gig. And I focused so much on getting that side gig that I was like putting more effort into the side gig than I was into the film dream gigs that I wanted, right? So maybe that was probably like, I have a video on Focus about that, where I was like focusing on the wrong thing. But if it wasn't for my barista skills, I don't know why I was obsessed with trying to be a barista and learn how to be a good barista. Like, because I knew like that skill would make me survive through this time. And if I wasn't a barista, man, I don't know how I would have paid my rent. I have literally no idea. So I was a barista for a couple years and then got away from film. And like, it's funny, I'm talking about a lot of stuff. I'm going to be actually filming the video after this live stream is over, where I'm going to be talking about a lot about this stuff, like how I got to where I am today and like all the stuff I had to do to like finagle. And like, you'll figure out that you won't work in film, and then you will, and then you won't, and then like something, and then temp work. And like Chad is saying, like, temp work, I tried to find temp work. I could not find temp work for some reason. Like, people would not hire me for temp work. So for me, like, working in retail definitely works. For me, it was being a barista, because I'm really good at customer service. I love the high pace of it all, the just fast pace of it. So I can make drinks. I can make you a really kick-ass cappuccino, y'all. I'm just saying, I got that latte art game. I probably, if you put me on a machine right now, I haven't been a barista in like a good three and a half years, because even when I was getting staff gigs, now Nick, you might call me crazy. You're like, yo, you're insane. So even when I was staffed on a show working Monday to Friday, I knew that gig was going to end. I knew it was going to end in such and such a time. I knew in 6 months this gig's going to be over. Did I know what my next gig was going to be? Definitely not, because that's how the freelance film world works. So I knew that the job was going to eventually end. But did I walk away from my barista job for 6 months? No. What I did was I still worked on the weekends. I worked Monday to Friday during the week on my staff job. And then Friday, like sometimes, well, it depends on like what we were doing. But like on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, I was at that cafe. And luckily for me, at the cafe I worked at, no one liked working Saturday night shifts. I love the Saturday night shifts because I would work my Saturday night shift. I would work at like 12:45 to like 8 o'clock, 8:30. Then I would go for a run on the Hoboken like waterfront. Like no matter what time of year it was, I would go right after work. I would go for a run. So that was like my habit. I would go, and then Sunday sometimes I'd have off, or sometimes Sunday I'd work on Sunday. So either way, like I kept that job because I knew that I would definitely have to fall back on it just in case. And then I started getting more and more consistent work, and then I got so tired, I like started to have burnout where I was like, okay, now I have to have 2 days off. Like I don't think I can work that shift. So I was only taking like every other week. And eventually the pandemic hit, and then I just didn't work for the cafe anymore. And then the lockdown happened, and then I haven't been a barista since. And ever since then, like I've been getting consistent work, and I didn't have to fall back on it. So it definitely was like a gradual, like it was like way more barista work here. And then it went down the line. It was like no barista work. And then like now I got more film work. So it definitely is something that you should do. Like I think it's definitely a thing that how people are surviving it. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. Retail, whatever job is flexible for you, definitely do it to make sure that you can keep getting those gigs and like, switching around things. Yes, Chad, definitely I agree. Do temp work if you need a more steady paycheck while starting in the film industry. You can call in every morning. You're not on a show, and some make cash but have flexibility. That's it. Wait, Jonathan, why are you making this face? What's going on with that face? Jonathan, are you mad at me? What's happening? What's mad? I was like, Jonathan is mad. I don't know what's going on. But yes, I mean, I tried to get temp work, and that didn't work out for me. I'm not really sure why temp work didn't work out for me. It just wasn't meant for me to be in an office, because I hate being in an office. Ugh, I hate being in an office. And even when it comes to me prepping films and stuff, when we're working in the office, I hate working in the office. I hate being in prep. I hate prep work. Brat's Superior Entertainment. Where do you think a person who wants to be a director should start when they begin researching and studying film? I would start with Brat's Superior. This is a cool question. Because you need to research other directors. I mean, I used to read director books. Like I read, let's see. Oh my God. Rodriguez. I can't think of his name. Wait, I have it here. Where is it? Rebel Without a Crew. I swear I had, I'm a liar. I don't have the book here. Wait, I definitely used to have that book. Rebel Without a Crew. Like I learning about how he came up and how he made his first movie. And I read the Inside the Mind of Tim Burton. Even though I don't want to be a director, I was just interested in these stories about filmmaking and how people made it in film. Like reading books that directors write and about their experiences in film, or why they made a scene that way. Or I would say watch a movie that has director commentary. You will learn so much about why they decided to do what they did. And I think that is a really, really good starting point. Like every week or every like Saturday and Sunday, or like maybe every day you take a movie, a classic movie, and figure out like, why is this movie, considered a classic? What did they do in this movie? Like going and watching a movie and picking apart the shots, thinking about why it was done that way. Like, and then I think watching classic movies is a really good way to learn. If you want to be a director, why directors are doing the things they're doing. Why does Tarantino do the things he does? Like I think a really fun project is when you take a director, like let's say you take Christopher Nolan, because we were talking about Christopher Nolan, right? Or even Francis Lawrence, right? You take him and you just take a week or a month and you watch all their movies, find the common denominator, find their style, figure out what they like to do. And it's like you're studying their style and why they do the things they do. And you can start to see like recurring themes in their movies, which is really cool. I think when you take a group of like their movies, you learn a lot about why they do the things they do and how they tell the story. And it's all about telling story. So also with being a director, you want to study story structure. You want to study why certain directors do the things they do, because sometimes I'm not saying they're really good directors, but like it comes from the writing. You know, why did like certain Harry Potter movies, when it's adapted to a screenplay, like why did they leave certain things out of the book, or the choices that they made? Why did that make it to screen? Why did this didn't, and whatever? Where was there a place for this? How to tell, because then you start to learn like something that works in a book doesn't necessarily work on screen. Some things that work in TV don't work in a movie. Some things that work in a movie don't work in a TV show, right? So it's like you're starting to learn about the different mediums, because filmmaking is an art form. Short film is an art form. TV shows are an art form. Like a book is an art form. So it's like not all those mediums are going to be equal when it comes to whatever story you're trying to tell. So studying story structure is a huge one. How to write certain scripts, like, that's super important. Like studying directors, why they're doing the things they're doing, getting to the mind of the director, and like watching a movie with director commentary. There's so much to be tapped into there. And also there's that whole like studying certain like human psychology, or like what colors mean certain things and what colors give a certain tone. Or there's also like the 5 C's of cinematography that I had. And I don't know how I had this book. There was some class I was taking where I learned a whole lot about cinematography and like what certain shots tell the human brain based on psychology. Right? So there's certain things that happen in film where it's not all just like, I want to just do this. There's certain things that the human brain will process that'll make them feel a certain way. So it's a lot that goes into being a director. And I think a lot of people are like, I just want to direct. I want to tell stories. Well, like, are you telling the stories correctly? Do you know enough about life experience? Do you know enough about, how the brain processes things? Do you know enough about like how we absorb stories, how we process emotion? That's also another thing, like how to like get the performance out of your actors. Some people obsess over what the frame looks like, but then they forget about their actors and what the actors are bringing to the table. When you're a director, your main priority is making sure you get the performance out of the actor, and people forget all about the actors. I'm like, actors need guidance too. So all about trying to get the best performance out of actors. Another thing, oh my God, I'm like adding all the, should be just a whole different video basically. But another thing you should do if you want to be a director, take acting classes. Figure out how an actor feels. Once you as a director can feel what an actor feels, you will give performance notes that are completely just relatable, and they're going to be completely different than from before you took that improv class or before you took the acting class. Like you can get into the brain of an actor better once you have taken those steps that an actor has taken to be an actor. So I think as a director, it's super important or super useful, very useful for you to go and take acting classes just to feel what they feel, because then it's just like, for me, it makes more sense, because you're going to realize how they process emotion, how they can get that performance out of their body and onto the screen, and figuring out the subtleties, like theater versus like film and all this stuff. Okay, I went on a real big director tangent. Brad Sapiro, I hope that answered your question, because man, I really went deep. Okay, let's see. Nick, thanks for the answer. Yes, I've been with Walmart for 12 years, and luckily some of the management here are very helpful. That's amazing. I hope you're not being sarcastic, but that laughing emoji tells me you're not. Just not around Thanksgiving, Christmas. Yeah, so Thanksgiving and Christmas time, have you gotten a lot of gigs that you've been offered at Thanksgiving and Christmas time? Because for the most part, film dies down at those times. Like the week of Thanksgiving, there's nothing usually shooting unless you're like something crazy indie and you're like, I'm desperate because everyone's off. And that's when everyone has time off to kind of get together to do that short film or whatever. And Christmas time, most shows are on hiatus. So, starting like December 17th to like the first week of New Year's, the first week of January, like no one's really working. So that's good because, but if you've been getting a lot of offers at those times, God bless. But I definitely get it because those are a high time for retail for sure. It's Halloween, Amber. Don't ask questions. Facts. That's so funny. Okay, Brad's Superior Entertainment. You should do more lives. I love being able to ask questions and learn new things about film. Thanks for answering my questions. Yo, I love doing it. Thanks for joining me, guys. Thank you again. Acting classes. Yeah, so Dallas, thanks for agreeing with me. I feel a little validated here. Thank you so much. Acting classes for director, absolutely. I mean, really, I think that, like, that's why, I mean, I've seen directors do this, and it's kind of funny. They'll be like, just act natural. I've seen directors say that to actors. The director will walk away all confident, and that actor will be like, acting natural is not the note you want to give an actor, because they're going to do what them as a person would do, not them as a character would do. So it's like very funny watching I feel like I'm laughing at directors, but it is comical when you watch directors try to give notes to actors, especially if an actor isn't quite understanding what the director wants from him or her, you know? So I always find that very funny where we're on like take 10 and the actor hasn't gotten there. We haven't gotten that like performance. We haven't gotten it, like we haven't stuck the landing, you know? And I'm sitting there as the assistant director, and I have to like whisper in the director's ear, like, tell him to do this. You have to find the white. Yes, Dallas, yeah, this is a good one. Do it bigger. Do it bigger. Give me a little bit more. And you're like, what the fuck? So true. So true. Oh my God. Thanks, Dallas, for saying that. Dallas, yeah, that's so funny, because I've heard that so many times. Like, give me a little bit more. Do a little bit. Be a little bigger. Like, do that. Like, are you serious right now? Like, you have to use, like, I think making sure that you have enough adjectives in your vocabulary arsenal to, like, make sure you're giving the actor enough, I don't know, like, you got to give them enough to work with, because if you don't, you're just letting that actor just leave them high and dry, like literally just high and dry. And you're like, I need a little bit more guidance. Like, what do you want here? Like, oh my God. Okay, Nick Farley, that works well for me then. This is the first time in my life that I've started to get into the industry. The only gig I've worked was a TV show, Food Network, and everyone in there was very helpful. That's amazing. And I think that I'm glad that you started, because some people are like so afraid to start. I don't know how old you are or whatever. Some people are like, oh, but it's only for like, yeah, if I'm just starting, it's for young kids. Like, literally, I have 40-year-old PAs. I have older PAs that, you know, like all ages, young kids. And also there's that weird, like, people who are super young, like they're like 22, but then they're like a little bit higher in the ranks for whatever reason, and people doubt them because they look too young, you know, or they doubt them because they're in a lower position and they look too old, and you're like, they're trying to figure out. That's why I don't tell nobody how old I am. I don't tell nobody how old I am, because it's none of your business where I am in my life and my success story. If you think I look young and you think that's great for wherever I am in life, that is your business, not mine. So whatever your opinion of me is my business. I had two more things that were common questions I usually get. I don't even know if this will spark any. Oh, yes, this is a good one I want to do. So you want to direct, right? This common question drives me insane. It drives me insane, and I hate it. Why do I hate this question? So you want to direct. Just because I work in the industry does not mean I want to be a director. Did I direct a short film? Yes. Did I think directing was what I was supposed to do? Yes, because I didn't know about the other options on set. I don't think directing is my strong suit, guys, because I don't want to be a director, nor do I want to be an actor. But logistics, leadership, and motivation, and scheduling, that is my jam, okay? And that's how I know being assistant director is for me. And when I tell people I'm a first AD or a second AD, they're like, yeah, but you want to direct, right? I'm like, no, I don't want to direct. That's a completely different job. Directing is like a completely different job. There was one job I worked on that a friend of mine, I almost quit the industry, and this also is going to come up in my next video that I'm going to have. I almost quit the industry after this horrible feature film I did as a first AD, and I did it because it was a feature, and I thought, I got along great with the director. The producers, though, we won't talk about that. We're going to talk about the producers, though. So I almost quit the industry. I definitely contemplated whether I wanted to stay in the film industry or not. And I took a few weeks off, and I was like, I just got to walk away from this for a little bit. And then a friend of mine, absolutely adore him, Michael Keane. He was a sound person on one of these indie shorts I would do. I see him all all the time. I love sound people. I like fall in love with the sound department. I don't know why, but I love sound people. They're like, I feel like I should definitely be in the sound department or something. But I love the sound department, and a lot of the ADs don't like the sound department. And a lot of people don't respect the sound department, but I love these guys. I mean, and I say guys because it's been like, I maybe seen like 2 women in the sound department. Unfortunately, we definitely need more women in the sound department for sure. Definitely love the sound department, and he was a boom operator. He was our sound mixer, and he had posted on Facebook how he needed an AD for his web series. And I was like, yo, man, like, what the hell? What am I, chopped liver over here? And he's like, I can't afford you. He's like, I am not paying a lot. And I was like, dude, I will work for free. I think he paid me like $100 a day. And that project really brought me back because I loved working with him, and I needed something to cleanse my palate. I needed to have something to take the bad taste out of my mouth with the last project that I was on. And this project really did that. And because I loved working with him, he was directing like his web series, and he wrote the web series, and I thought it was a really cute little series. And he also was the lead. So he wrote it, he directed it, and he was the lead. During this project, what ended up happening was that I ended up directing him when he was on screen. And I remember after it was over, I thought to myself, I was like, I felt very appreciative of the fact he gave me that opportunity to direct, because now my brain knows what it's like to direct and how different it is from being an AD. But also, you cannot direct and be AD at the same time, because it's very much like sections of your brain are going off in different parts for different types of thing, because being a director is very much creative. Being an assistant director is logistical. It's like very different parts of your brain. So like the fact that I had to keep switching on and off was very tough, but also I was like, wow, I'm giving like real good performance notes. I was not expecting me to be like, this is, and I would tell him how I feel about his performance. I'm like, it doesn't seem real. Like when you do this, it makes it seem like this. And the feeling I get from when you do this is this. So, and I was able to give him notes, and I was proud of myself because I directed like one thing. I directed my own like short film that I was in myself, obviously. So I was like really proud of myself that I was like, oh, wow. But like when I get the question, don't you want to be a director? I hate it. And I have a video about this where it's like, it's okay for you not to want to be a director. That is not always the goal. Some people want to be a prop master. Some people want to be a gaffer. Some people want to be a director of photography. Like the top 3 things, it's like producer, director, or the DP are the top 3 things that people want to be, or an actor. And there's so many different positions. There's like hundreds of different positions that you can be in film. And like for me, like I didn't even know what a first AD was until like 4 or 5 projects down the line when I was a camera assistant. So like the fact that it's super important for you to know whether or not you want to be a director or not, because like you're gonna go down a line and you're gonna discover you don't like directing. Like what the hell? Like that's, you want to make sure you're on something that you can see all the positions. And some people want to be a director, and I remember having this conversation with someone. They were saying, oh, well, I want to be a director because I can control all the elements. Being a director is not about control, folks. It's not about control. Some people get real obsessed with having creative control. Now, the thing is that the people who really have control are the people who are controlling the money. Sorry to break it down. Sorry to like bust your bubbles, guys, but like you can be a director, but if you don't have the money, then your creative vision is going to change. It's going to change. And like in one of the things I say in my director mistakes video is you have to not have such high expectations that your vision is not going to change. Like, for example, you are going to expect a certain thing to come out a certain way, but once you get to the end of that project, it might come out totally different because of all the elements that go into filmmaking and how they change and how that things just, like how everything just can mutate based on, oh my God, an actor got sick. Oh shit, the location just pulled out. Oh my God, we lost our permit for this. Like so many things happen. Like, oh, that prop that we were supposed to get, oh, we can't get that now. So now we have to figure out a whole different important prop for the story. So things are going to change in filmmaking, and a lot of directors like, well, I want to be a director because I want to control. Then I feel like if you want to control, then I don't know, you're in the wrong business, because filmmaking is collaboration. And I always put it on my first call sheet, first day of every production I do. I put the quote of the day. Quote of the day is from James McAvoy. Filmmaking is a miracle of collaboration. I fully believe that. And if you're sitting there thinking that just because, you know, you want to be a director so you can control the elements. I feel like that's an ego thing and narcissistic, and it's like weird. So I feel like you have to go back to the drawing board. If you want to be a director and you're like, oh, well, I want to be a director because, like, there are better answers that fill in the blank. Like, I want to be a director because I love telling stories. I want to represent this community. Like, there's so many better answers that are out there that are like, you want to be a director. So for me, I don't think I'm a good storyteller. Definitely not a good storyteller. I don't think I can direct actors. Do I want to direct? No, I don't want to direct actors. For me, I know where my strengths lie. I know what I like. I like being the leader of the set. And this was also said to me where, like, someone asked me if I wanted to be a director, and I was like, no, I want to be a first AD. They're like, why do you want to be a first AD for? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, first of all, why are you shitting on my goal? First of all, because if you have a certain goal, I will not poo-poo your goals, because if whatever your goal is, I am here for you. I support you. Whatever your goal is, go after it, because I want you to go after your goal, whatever that goal is. You can, if your goal is to be a key grip, if your goal is to be a set medic, if your goal is to be fucking the master, like, crafty person, like, if your goal is to be a catering truck, yo, go after that shit and kill it. That's all I know. Whatever your goal is, just make sure you kill it and you keep going after it. That's all I know. You don't have to be the director. You don't have to be, like, line producer. You don't have to be a producer. But he said to me, he was like, why would I want to be second in command? And I'm like, being the first AD is not the second in command. And I got this comment the other day, yesterday, day before yesterday, where the person said that he compared the first AD to the director as in, like, military, like when you have a battalion commander and an executive officer. And it's funny because I know this term because I was in ROTC. So I'm like, yes, I know this because I was an XO when I was in ROTC my last year of ROTC. I was like, yes. And it's like the XO and the battalion commander have different responsibilities. It's like night and day. It's not like, okay, this director responsibilities and the first AD responsibilities are like this. No, it's sort of like this. Because in order for that director to do what he needs to do, I need to make sure I'm doing my stuff so the director can do what he or she needs. You know, like, it's like they're working together. It's not like this. There's no, like, weird, like, hierarchy thing. Like, yes, on the call sheet, it does work that way. Yes, the director might get paid more than me, but also, like, directors work less than first ADs because there's way less directors positions than AD positions, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like you might get paid more, but also, like, your name's on this thing too. So, like, being a director, being a whatever position you want to be in, don't let anyone say, like, oh, you need to be a director. Like, that is the position you need to strive for. No. Sorry. Hard line. Fully do not believe in that at all. And thankfully I have not gotten this question in, like, a hot minute where it's like, don't you want to be a director? No, I don't want to be. I'm like, if you only knew how much money I can make as a first AD and what I can do as a first AD. Now, what I will say is this. Some people who want to be a director have taken the AD route. I have met and I've worked with many directors who have been ADs. That's fine. There's no wrong way, no wrong path in film when it comes to whatever position you want to be in. It might be a longer path, but also you learn a lot as an AD about directors and how they direct. So this goes back to Brat Superior Entertainment, where it's like, what do I got to do to be a better director? Where do I start? If you get on set and you just watch what a director does, if you listen to the notes they give, like, you're right next to the director all the time as an AD. So you can really get into the mindset of, like, where they're at and why they want to do certain things or why they want the shot to be this way. So it's like just being around them. Script supervisor also, a lot of script supervisors go into script supervising to be right next to the director, get into their heads, figure out why they want the things they want, and then they move into the director position. So there is many ways to get into the director position. There's not one set way to do it. And it's not always film school, and it's not always, director's assistant, because that's also another way. Like, learning about the director, you can be a director's assistant because you get to be on set. You get to watch the takes. You get to watch the director direct. So there's so many routes. And if you don't want to be a director, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, we're going back. Okay. Oh, let's see. Going back to the chat. Whew. Do you have any tips on how to, we got that. Oh yeah, the one more for safety. But I mean, if I, as a first AD, know that the director got what he wanted in the first take and everything was perfect in the first take, we always do one more. You never know. You always do at least 2 takes. So the director might be happy, but I'll be like, you sure you don't want one more for safety? Because you never know what can happen to that one take. We always do one more for safety. Do you have any tips on how to not burn yourself out too fast as a newcomer in the industry? I think this is a really good question. And I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, Jonathan, about making sure you're taking care of your body on a daily basis. Because a lot of people will like really do themselves an injustice because they are not getting enough sleep. They are not drinking enough water. They are not eating the right things. They are eating what is ever put in front of them. They forget to eat. It's like, I'm sorry, but your nutrition is like, it's gotta be number one. You gotta drink water, avoid sugars, avoid processed food, avoid all the stupid breads and processed stuff that they're gonna give you on set. And this takes a lot of discipline. It really, really does. Also, saying no to certain things, because there is pressure for you when you are new to take on like all the work that comes your way, even though you don't like the project or not, right? So I think that saying no to certain things you don't want to work on, when you start to see those red flags that you know is going to be a pretty bad experience on set, saying no is important, because it's like your health comes first. And I feel like for me, after that one really bad feature, if I didn't take a few weeks off and I just didn't have time to kind of like regroup, I think I would have went into another project right away, and I just would have been miserable and horrible to the whole crew, and I just would have been not my best self. So saying no to certain things and making sure you give yourself time off, going on vacations when you can, like literally you gotta have like holiday. You have to make sure you do something you love every day outside of film. I talk about this in another video, like how to make sure you take care of you. And one of that is nutrition, drinking enough water, eating the right food, staying away from sugar, making sure you exercise. Exercise is very, very vital. At least stretching every day. At least. Me, I try to do like, me and a friend of mine, we do like 50 push-ups a day, and we like tell each other, keep kind of each other accountable. Because like if we didn't keep each other accountable, like we probably wouldn't do for the 50 push-ups. So like we took a few weeks off. Like we did it for the whole summer. We did it June, July, August, and September. We did 50 push-ups a day for 4 months, and we took weekends off. Because I remember I was like, no, we're gonna go every day. We're gonna do every day. And then he was like, no, we'll have weekends off. And I was like, you know what? You're right. We have rest period because your muscles need the recovery and the rest period. So on Monday, whatever you did during the week, it's like you're back to it and your muscles are stronger, right? So it's the same thing in film where it's like you need a mental break. You need to make sure you're giving yourself some time off. But yes, exercise is very, very important. And it's just like stuff that people probably hear all the time, like diet and exercise, like drinking water, eating proper foods, vegetables. Like please eat a vegetable, at least eat some fruit, and staying away from sugars and exercising. It's like probably how you keep everything together all the time, right? With every industry. But with film, it's super important because we are taking our bodies to the brink, and we're working like 12 hours, 14 hours, 15, 16, 17 hours a day. Like people think we're superhuman. And when I do one of those days, man, Lord Jesus, I'm like, those days are hard, and they're hard on my body. I'm like older, and I'm like, I have to make sure I stretch. I have to make sure I have enough water. If I'm dehydrated, the pain and the inflammation of my whole body just goes up. So that's a whole other thing, burning out, like making sure you're taking care of your body, diet, exercise, water. Also, on a mental standpoint, you have to take your brain away from what you're doing for the day. If it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe you walk your dog, maybe you make sure you play with your dog for 10 minutes, make sure you go and like read a book, maybe you play a video game, maybe you have to do something you love doing. Reading, crossword puzzles. I don't know what you guys do. I have no idea. I mean, but don't watch TV. Whatever it is, don't watch, don't do something where you can zone out. Do something that stimulates your brain in a different way. And it could be taking a walk around the block. Literally even though your like legs are tired, you're like taking like a just calm walk somewhere. Like you have to take your brain away from what's happening on set. Like regrouping, meditating. people keep telling me to meditate and I haven't done it yet. I think maybe I do. I don't know, because I talk about like what I'm grateful for and stuff. Maybe that's praying, maybe that's meditating. I'm not really sure. But either way, meditating also, like making sure that you like do breathing exercises. Take at least 10 deep breaths a day. And you guys are telling me to remember to breathe. Jonathan, it's true. Remember to breathe, because I was going on a tangent. I was talking really fast. So like remembering to breathe, like literally if you are in your car or like at lunch or whatever, like I take like a couple deep breaths, just like, because oxygen, it's going to calm you down. And oxygen is like you're taking like other toxins out of your body and all this stuff. Me, what I do is on my lunch break, I read a book. I take myself away from set. I go away for 10, 15, just for, even if it's for 15 minutes. Like lunch for me, sometimes I don't get a long lunch because if I'm an AD, then people are asking me lots of questions, or I have to talk to a director or a producer or like an actor or something, or I have to make sure that the PA's got all the actors' lunch or whatever, and I only have like 15 minutes to myself. So I'll eat for like 5 minutes, and then I'll like read a book for 10 minutes, even if it's like 2 pages. I read a book, because for some reason, like when I read during my lunchtime, I feel reset and I feel ready for the next half of the day, even though the next half of the day is like 8 hours. So making sure you take time off, making sure that you're taking care of your body, mentally doing something that you love to do outside of watching TV and film, and just making sure that you are like saying no to things that are red flags. Like don't take the projects you know are going to stress you the fuck out. Okay, that's super important. Okay, so going back, let's see. I missed some of the things. I'm gonna go back a little bit. So yes, I definitely appreciate that question, Jonathan, for sure. Sound is half the movie. Gotta have great sound, boom operator. Dan, like I know Dan has left the chat and I think he had to go. But like either way, like sound is half the movie. And if you don't invest in sound, or you don't appreciate your sound, guys, whoo-wee, that's half your movie, guys. Because you can have the prettiest thing. You can have such a lovely thing to watch, but if your sound is horrible, I'm sorry. No one's going to watch it. Facts. Now, it might sound good, and sometimes you might have like questionable like things on screen. More people will stay because they can listen to it. It's like for me, like when I'm doing this live stream without Gisela telling me like my sound was good, like it was, I don't think a lot of people stayed on because they couldn't hear me clearly and I was too low, and some people didn't stay on. Even though like the picture was okay, but sound, like the sound, like they were like, nah, I can't listen to this. So sound literally is half your movie, like always. So yeah, always keep the sound department happy. Yes, with sweets. Now mind your sugars, guys. Mind your sugars, but I always make friends with my sound folks. That's it. So what do you think about color theory? I don't know what you mean by color theory. By like, are you talking about tones of the movie? I'm pretty sure. So, Brad, if you're still on, yeah, you're still on. Oh gosh, there's something that. What do you? Okay, so yeah, ask a little bit more elaborate about the color theory. I don't really know what you mean. Maybe I'm just oblivious to what color theory is, because once you start talking about it, I think I know what you're talking about. So yes, Dallas John, thank you so much. I know you're off. Thank you for joining me. Those questions were amazing. All his input. Dallas Dan's like a subscriber of mine that like, I love when he's on. He's got such wisdom. I love it. So remember to breathe. Yes, this is so true. And drink water, 100%. Yo, actually, I've been on this stream for like 2 hours. I think this is crazy. Okay, so what's the name of the short film you directed? The short film that I directed, it never finished. I have 2 short films. I could probably, but I made this stupid short film. I can probably find it. I made this I was like restless and I was like in love with this guy. So I made a little short film because I was obsessed, and I was like, the only way I can express this is just make a movie. But one short film that I directed, it was like a zombie movie, and I didn't mean for it to turn into a zombie movie, but that's just the direction that writing it, that's the way it went. And I never finished it because my main actor broke his collarbone. And at the time, since he broke his collarbone, I had to wait like weeks and weeks and weeks for him to heal, for me to use him again. I ended up moving to LA, so I never got back to Buffalo to finish shooting this movie. And I had like extras. They were all zombies. I even had my niece and nephews as like my niece and nephew, they're twins at the time. I think they were 4 or 5. They're like 19 now. they're like total adults. They're like so grown now. But they were like 4 and 5. And they were like main characters in my short film. And I was like, oh wow. I just never got to finish it because my main actor broke his collarbone. And he didn't break his collarbone. In case you were wondering, he did not break his collarbone on, what do you call it? Like on my movie. No, he didn't. Although I had a lot of guns. I had a lot of weapons on my movie. And at the time, my boyfriend was like in the army. So he was like serving as my armorist. So it was like, there was no ammo. We didn't really shoot. It was like we had scenes in the movie where it was like setting the scene of what he was into, but there was never any shooting of any kind in my movie, just to put that out there. Let me find this short film. I have to go deep into my YouTube now, y'all. But I was actually in this movie because at the time I had just moved to New York, New Jersey, and I wanted to make something, but I had no actors. I just had a camera and me, so I made it happen. That's what I did. Okay, I'm going to find it. I'm going to send you guys the link. So you guys are going to watch this movie and be like, oh my God, Amber is a psycho. Like, I can't even, let's see. I think it's called Attention. I believe it's called Attention, if I remember correctly. Yes. Oh my God, it is called Attention. Look at me. Okay. I had short hair. This is back in 2013. This is like 10 years ago, guys. 10 years ago. Oh my God. I feel like I look completely different. I'm gonna give it to you guys now. You can watch it if you'd like, but Lord, if you watch it, comment on it, like, Amber, this is, because if you comment on it, I'll know you came from this live stream, because ain't no one commenting on that video right now. All right, so my last common question that I usually get from people is, when I tell them what I do, I say, hey, I'm an assistant director, I'm a first AD, I'm a second AD, they're like, what? Like, what exactly do you do? No one knows exactly what I do on set. They're like, what? Especially people who are like friends of mine who are not in the industry, or like my family. They're like, what exactly? We don't know. Like, we know she's an AD, but like, do we know what she does for a living? Her day to day? No one knows what I do. And if you want to get into the actual nuts and bolts of what an AD does, I have videos for that. Like, definitely just search like on my channel, first assistant director. All the responsibilities come up: actors, logistics, scheduling, all that stuff. It's always like, everyone's like, what the hell is a first AD? Which is fine. I like having a position that no one really gets. I get it. So that's in the short film that I directed, but the other one I directed did not, it didn't go anywhere because I never finished it. So, and I never and like, I thought about making another one, but I was like, I don't know. I just started focusing on being an AD. I guess maybe, I don't know. Okay, so Chad Rogers, do a podcast. Don't tell me to do a podcast, guys. I don't need a podcast. No one's gonna listen besides, I'm gonna have like 5 listeners. I guess one of the dreams I do have is to have like a nice studio set up where I can actually have video set up and have like guests come in and we can have like chats like this. You know, I kind of like that. I don't know if it might, I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like everyone and their mother has a podcast, guys. Like, come on, right? Like, I can't have a podcast. Like, I already have this live stream that you guys are watching that like are, you know, only a few people are on, but either way, like, I feel like a podcast, I don't know. I feel like in a podcast, I wouldn't be able to be as spontaneous, and I could just switch gears quickly, but also I can make the podcast what I want it to be, right? I guess there's that. Podcast, that's a whole other thing. I just don't know. But thank you for everyone suggesting me, like, yeah, do a podcast, do it. You guys are like totally on board. I love it. Gisela, I'm here just to learn about the industry my daughter is in. So informative. I have learned so much from your videos. You're the best. Thank you so much, guys. I love all the love. So Chad Rogers, this is a really good question. Why did you decide to leave LA for New York City? Now, originally, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am from Buffalo. I am from Buffalo, New York. Yes, the Bills are doing great this season. I don't know if they won yesterday. Someone tell me if they won yesterday. Did they play yesterday? I have no idea. I like baseball, guys. I like baseball. I sort of maybe check the news sometimes to see how Buffalo Bills are doing, but I'm originally from Buffalo, and I don't know why, but for the longest time, I was really obsessed with moving to California. I don't ask me why. I'm not really sure, but I always wanted to visit California, and I just thought that since I wanted to be in film, LA was where I needed to be, and it was where, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to live in LA. And I moved out to LA. I set up, I applied for jobs when I was out there, and I actually got a job. It was like an associate producer position for this media production company because I thought that's what you do. I had no idea how to really, what jobs or how to get anything really. I just had no idea how to get in. And I interviewed and I met up with the person, and all of it fell through. So then I was in LA, I moved out there, all of it fell through. I ended up being a studio photographer to survive. And that's when I got the call to be on a cruise ship. So I applied to the cruise ship job as a videographer. So as a videographer, I got to edit and shoot things all day long, do fun stuff. And when I got back from the fun stuff, I would edit things and they would be on the channel and it would be on the DVD that we sold to passengers. So when I got the cruise ship job, I was like, whoa, I applied for this job about 8 months prior to me moving out to LA. So I had totally forgotten I applied for that job. And I applied fiercely because I did a semester in Australia. I was obsessed with trying to figure out how to get to Australia. And I was like, I'm going to live in Australia. I'm going to do study abroad. I'm going to do it. So I finally did the Australia thing. So when I came back from Australia, I really was hell-bent on using my degree, which a lot of people don't do. So I was so determined. I will use my degree no matter what. I will use my media production degree, and I will get a job in media production of some sort. I will be doing camera and editing of some sort. So I thought, cruise ship job. Of course, they have videographers on cruise ships. So I applied to almost every cruise line. I had forgotten because I was like, no, I'm moving out to LA. I'm going to try the production thing, and that's that. And then I moved out to LA, and I guess the LA thing, it was hard. I didn't know where to look for jobs. I didn't know what really I was doing out there. I think I lived in LA for 3 months, and then I got the cruise ship job. So what happened when I was on the cruise ship is that everyone from Buffalo started calling me for production jobs. So when I got off the cruise ship, because we would have 6-month contracts and I would be home for 2 or 3 months. So when I was home for 2 or 3 months, I would take another gig in Buffalo, but that was in the camera department. So I was just trying to take these gigs, and I just was kind of lost in LA. And then I just didn't like there's a certain vibe in LA I just don't like. And I guess I'm too abrasive, and I'm too New York, and I'm too honest. And at the time, I was a huge bitch. I just wasn't as positive as I am now. I wasn't as, I don't know, I guess polite, or I guess loving of life. I just wasn't where I was now, right? I feel so much more grown, and I just feel like I love life more, and I appreciate, but also I'm very honest. I'm a very honest person. I'm going to tell you like it is. And LA, they're not like that. They're really about the facade. And I feel like every time I went to a networking opportunity, or every time I was on set, it was really hard for me to be honest with people. And it was always a means to an end. Every time I talked to somebody, there was always oh, I want to be an actor. Are you directing anything? I want to be an actor. I want to, but I'm on this thing. It was always someone trying to get ahead. They would use you to get ahead. And I kept encountering these people over and over again. It just really put a bad taste in my mouth for living in LA. I like visiting LA, but living out there, I was like, this is not for me. And I have a few friends out there, and they love it. And they not to say that they like that shit, but maybe I just saw a side to LA just that did not appeal to my personality. And also after I did the cruise ship for 2 years, I was like, I kind of want to be closer to my family. Being from Buffalo, I had zero interest in moving to New York. I maybe because it is in the state that I live in. Living in New York, I was like, who cares about New York? Because it was so trendy. Everyone in Buffalo is obsessed with New York City. And I was like, fuck New York. I don't want to be here. But then I ended up loving it. I liked working in New York. I liked living there. But I live in Jersey now. So let's be honest. I like the fact that I have a nice apartment, and I have a parking spot. And I don't have to worry about parking in the boroughs. You definitely have to worry about parking in New York. So I think that one of the main things is that the vibe for me, I just just vibed better with New York City than I did with LA, for sure. Like 100%. Like just the vibe was not for me at all. And I mean, I had a nice apartment in LA. I lived in Pasadena. I lived in Koreatown for a hot minute. So I don't know. It just, for me, it just wasn't, it just didn't fit me, my personality. And when you relocate, definitely visit for a few weeks before you decide to relocate somewhere, because you're going to find like, oh my God, I hate it. And that happened to me when I moved to New York. I like did not like New York for the first 3 months, and only because it was hard. I had to like get used to things, you know, like getting used to the trains, getting used to like where these certain addresses are, and getting used to how, you know, raw people are. Like they're like way tougher than me, or like way rawer than me, or way more honest than me. So that's the other thing. It's like giving yourself enough time to adjust to the new city, but also visit before you actually make the decision to move there. So I hope that answers your question of like why LA wasn't really in the cards for me. But New York is closer. Also, I don't know, I like being in this area. Once I got here, I just never left, and I was like, I like it. I didn't feel like I needed to move anymore. So, Brett Spear, intimate, like the psychology of color in film, like what colors captivate the audience, how colors can be used to trigger emotions. Oh, so yes, color theory, 100%, study it. Because that's never going to change. Certain colors mean certain things to human beings. So like whatever colors like when you see red, you either think danger or sexy, right? When you see blue, you think calm, or you think like relaxing. Certain colors definitely mean certain things to people. So color theory, full on. Okay, YouTube. Okay, to Chad Rogers to relax. Okay, YouTube channel done. Have you ever missed out on a job gig you really wanted by missing a call or forgetting to attend a meeting? I remember I was fired from a job because my phone died. I was an indie first AD on this like 2-day project, and the day prior to the shoot, my phone died, and no, it was like 2 days prior to the shoot. Like I was going to be working on the schedule the next day and put a call sheet out. Like I did the schedule, I did all the scheduling, I did all the prep that went into it, and then I was on set. I can't remember what show. Oh my God. I think it was like Madam Secretary or something. But my phone died, and I didn't have anywhere to plug it in, or I didn't have an external battery or anything. And because they couldn't get a hold of me, they replaced me. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, and I kind of was like, I don't know if it was something I really wanted to work on, but I was just pissed that they replaced me without even hearing from me, because they're like, well, you didn't answer your phone. I'm like, there are so many reasons why someone's not answering their phone. I'm not like ghosting you. So they thought I ghosted them. And I was like, bro, you guys need to grow up for a second. It was so ridiculous. I couldn't even get back to them. So I do remember missing out on something because of that. Let's see. As far as like missing a call or forgetting to attend a meeting, I don't want to say I don't forget to attend meetings, because I usually don't. It's very rare that I miss a meeting. If I miss a meeting, I gotta be like really in a bad place in my life, because I'm really good with like once I write something down and I put it in my calendar, my mind already like remembers it. Like if that makes sense, like I have already remembered it and I don't need to look at my calendar. So it depends. Like I haven't really. There was one gig where when I was working at a TV station. And I was trying to get back into film because I walked away for a hot minute, that I missed out on working on Spider-Man when it came. I think this was like, I can't remember what Spider-Man it was, but it was a while ago. It wasn't the Tom Holland ones. It wasn't like I think it might have been still, maybe the Andrew Garfield ones. I'm not sure. I think they made their first one or the one before. I'm not sure. Can't remember what Spider-Man it was, but I was like, you go, I want to work on Spider-Man. And I could not find anyone to take my shift. It was so last minute, but I could not find someone to take my shift at the TV station, because I was a master control operator where we just like sit there and like if anything goes wrong, we troubleshoot and we fix it. So I wasn't able to work on Spider-Man because of that. And I was kind of like, damn it. Even though I probably would have been one of like 50 PAs on it. Either way, I wasn't able to work on it, and I kind of felt like bad about it. I was like, damn it, I could have worked on Spider-Man. But I tried to finagle to get someone to fill in, and it didn't work. Did not work. Brat Superior Entertainment, what's the most bizarre thing you've witnessed on set? I'm thinking about this one. The most bizarre thing? Bizarre? Like, I don't know. That might be a hard one. If anyone else has any like set stories, bizarre things, I don't know about bizarre. I have to think about this one. I have to like go in my arsenal of like what's some bizarre things I've seen. Bizarre, like weird things, right? Like, I don't know. Oh my God. I could probably talk about this sex scene I had to do. Oh my God. I wasn't in, but like was part of that feature film that I almost quit the business with, but it's so weird. I won't even tell you the movie because, man, I should tell you the movie so you can watch how weird it is, but it was like a love story. And the sex scene, there's always weirdness for me when the director tells me it's going to be a tasteful sex scene. I find sex scenes really unnecessary in movies. I don't know why, but I just do. I'm not against them, but like, how does it progress the story? And one of the things as a director or writer that you need to know is that every scene must have a purpose in progressing the story, right? Like if so-and-so is kissing and they land on the bed, it's assumed they're going to have sex, right? So you don't need to really waste time showing the sex scene. I mean, that's how I don't know anyone else's opinion. Please share your opinions in the chat. More than welcome to share your opinions of sex scenes. But there was a sex scene that we had to film, and it just wasn't sexy. At the very least, a sex scene has to be sexy, right? Like, I think it just was, like, very awkward. It was a closed set. It was, like, the actors, the director, me, and the DP, and the script supervisor in this room, and it was just, like... I didn't watch the movie when it came out. It's on Amazon Prime right now, I believe. It just wasn't... oh God, it just was like it was like cringeworthy, awkward. It wasn't very, that's all I gotta say. I don't know, that's probably, it doesn't really give you an answer about Bizarre, but it was like very uncomfortable for me to endure. That's an AD. I don't want to be there. I'm like, you guys can handle this. And because I'm a female, I always got to be put on the closed set. I'm like, God damn it. Like, why do I, but I'm the AD, so I will be there. But because I'm a female, it's like now it's doubled down because it makes people feel more comfortable because I'm a female on this thing. It's close. I don't know. Okay. That's Brad Spear. I don't know if that's a good answer for that Bizarre thing. Eggs Roll, thoughts of Atlanta. I mean, I like working in Atlanta. I thought it was great. It's a great place to start your career. Is that what you mean? How long do you think it takes to get far in the industry? Now, what's your definition of far, Brett Superior? Define far. Because am I far in my career? I don't know. What's far? Like, what do you mean? Further, higher up than a Set PA? Because it takes a while. It takes a few years to, might take a year or two to go from Set PA into a department. It might take a few years to get from PA to AD. It might take a few more years to get from AD to producer or UPM. It might take a few more years to get from UPM to producer. Or producer to showrunner. So it depends, like whatever far means to you. Everything's usually a couple years, depending on what stage you're on and what stage you want to go to. Egg Words, what first steps would you recommend to get into the camera department? I have PA'd for a while now, and I want to be part of the camera department. Now, Eggs World, how often do you talk to the camera department? That would be your first thing. Like, you've got to talk to the camera people. You've got to talk to the camera people. Also, if you are right, Jonathan, right? See, seriously, he's like, I see what I do when I read the comments is I don't read anything below what I just read. So I see that some things are coming up, but I don't read them. But like, you guys agree? Yeah. So like, what's far, right? But going back to the camera department question with Egg Worlds, I think that you need to talk to those people. Ask if you can do a day as a camera PA. Like, that's how you're going to get in. You have to talk to the camera department. You have to talk to those people. That is like the first step. What I tell people in my Set PA training course, which my next Set PA training course is going to be in February, New York City, February 18th and 19th, if anyone wants to, be in my class, because I teach it. I love teaching that class, by the way. I love it. So, I think that, if you're not talking to the people that you want to be, like for me, one of my first steps was talking to ADs, and asking how they came up or how they got further, if I didn't talk to them and learn from their mistakes or learn from what they learned, then I was just wasting my time or I was taking the hard road basically. So I knew I wanted to be a first AD, and one of my first encounters with I wanted to ask him so many questions, but I fangirled out. It was Steve Apicella. He's a first AD. He's still a first AD in the industry, and he has no idea who I am. But I look at first ADs as celebrities. For me, they're the people I want to be, right? In the DGA first ADs. Like I've been a first AD on indie stuff, obviously, on commercials and music videos, whatever, short films and features, indie features. But like DGA first AD is like where I want to be one day. So like for me, I got to talk to them. I want to see what they've done in their career, like how they've gotten further, how they've gotten their jobs, like how they talk to producers, how they get hired and stuff like that. So you got to talk to people you want to be one day. Ask them, how, like, just some people like read into this whole, like, can I take you out for coffee? Can I buy you lunch? Like, take them out. Like, it's like, I just want to pick your brain. Like, can I just take you for an hour and like, can we go have coffee so I can pick your brain? And that's happened to me. And I've said yes to people who like just wanted to talk to me for an hour. I have. If I have the time, I will totally do it. So I'm getting behind the chat here. I just got off early. The underdogs chat, gotta go mix audio, so need to turn you off, guys. Always fun chatting with other people in the industry. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Chad, for joining us. Thank you so much. Being the fly on the wall, like I totally agree with Jonathan on this, because like if you just gotta observe, try to take in all you can, but also don't annoy them with your questions, because they are working. Remember that when you see them on set, if there's a down moment, there's like maybe there's a whole bunch of lighting and cameras already set and like the camera people are just chilling. Learn about like the remote focus, learn about like the monitors, learn about like the loader, what they do, like the media, the camera they're using, their lenses they're using, like study that stuff. Work at a rental house too. That's another way to get into the camera department. Rental houses, learning the equipment. The more you know about the camera gear, the better it is for you to be like a loader, because you don't have to like, figure it out on set and someone's gonna like try and train you on set, Definitely show curiosity. Like showing curiosity, I totally agree with Jonathan on that, because showing curiosity just means that you're invested. You're invested in and you want to learn more. I love PAs they ask me about how I became an AD if they want to be an AD. That makes sense, because if they want to be an AD and they're like in the right position, they're like, what was your first day on set, Amber? Like what was your first day as a second AD or something? So like, and they're just curious. Curiosity is such a good sign to show people that you just want to learn more, and asking questions and just being curious is such a good one. I totally agree with that. But Jonathan, but also you do the best you can do at the current job you have assigned to that show devotion, because this is very, very true. What I've seen is that when you're a set PA and you want to be in camera, sometimes I'll see people just be like, oh, I don't care about the tasks you're giving me because you're not the department I want to be in, right? And I'm sure Jonathan has said this. And Jonathan, you're right. You're the key chat PA now. You're controlling the chat. It's great. So no matter whatever job you're doing currently, make sure you fucking do that shit. You kill it. And you do it the best you can. You show that you're working hard no matter what task you're doing, no matter what you're given, because every task is a test. Because here's the thing. No one wants to hire a lazy PA into their department. But if you're a good, hardworking PA, they're like, yeah, maybe I'll bring them into the props department. Maybe I'll bring them into the sound department. And I've gotten this multiple times as a key PA or a staff PA. They're like, Amber, I would love to have you in my department if you ever needed it. And for me, the other departments I would work in, if I wasn't in the AD department, probably be set dressing or the sound department. Top two, departments for me. And both of those departments say, I would love to have you. Why? Because I was killing it. Now, that probably wasn't the story a few years ago when I had a bad attitude and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm so confused. It doesn't make sense why I'm doing this stupid thing you gave me. And some people are like that, where they don't really take advantage or they don't appreciate, and they're not grateful for the position they have on set at that current moment. So just think about that, like make sure that you are really grateful to even just be on set, and then think about moving up. And I'm not saying you're not grateful, and I'm not saying that, you are taking this job for granted or whatever. But whatever position you're in, do your best. Show that you can work hard. And my stomach is growling. That means I got to end this chat because I haven't had breakfast yet. And it's 3:30. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon right now. So I am going to wrap it up. That was all my common questions. This really got to be so fun. Oh my goodness. A couple things I want to remind people about if they are watching this to this point. You guys are my beloved subscribers. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe to my channel, because when you subscribe, that means I'm doing something right and I see the numbers go up, and that just makes me happy. It makes me super, super happy. I also have my Set PA training happening in February. It's almost full. I have a few spots left. So you got to sign up now if you want to be in my Set PA class in New York. I love teaching that class. If you're not in New York and you want, some Set PA training, I have my online course as well on my website, beyondfilmschool.com. Of course, we'll leave that link there for you. And also I have memberships. I have just started the Beyond Film School membership. So you can be a member of Beyond Film School. You can help support Beyond Film School. I think it's about $2.99 a month. And I will have certain chats like this where we'll be members only. And also, I'm going to share a little bit of the inside stuff that I have in my life, on set, what I go through on set will be for members only, because that's not going to be for everyone to get the inside scoop, the inside look on what I'm doing, on set for the things that I work on. That's got to be definitely behind the closed door, guys. And the closed door is going to be the membership for sure. So remember to, if you want the inside scoop of what I'm doing on set in my life, also you get the inside look at the behind the scenes of Beyond Film School, what I do and what it takes to actually do something like this. Not to be YouTube stuff, but trying to incorporate a YouTube channel involving the film industry is kind of difficult, I find. And for me, growing and thinking about all the stuff I have to encounter as an entrepreneur, if people are interested in that stuff, because I think if you're a filmmaker, you definitely could start a YouTube channel. And if I can help anyone with that, those are the types of things I'm going to be addressing in the membership posts. And also you will have a say in the videos that I do. So if you have a certain question, if you're a member, I will make a video and I will address that question. For example, I just got an email the other day talking about SAG rules, and you're like, yo, you should make a video about this, and if you're a member, I'll definitely make a video. I will invest the time for making a video so you guys know more. Also, those are some of the things I have going on. My Set PA kit, the walkie kit. I feel like Beyond Film School is growing, and I'm growing because of you. So I just want to say thank you to my subscribers and people who are watching this. Thank you for joining me in the live stream. And everyone who commented, I had such fun answering your questions. Thank you for joining me. That is it for now. I shall see you next time.